Who's this Jimmy? Who you talking about? Jimmy something? Jimmy Witherspoon?
Nobody knew who he was.
Lewis.
Jimmy.
Who's this Jimmy?
Lewis.
Jimmy.
Who's this Jimmy?
Lewis.
Who's this Jimmy?
Lewis.
Who's this Jimmy?
Just kept on doing.
Live from Pahrump, Nevada, the Valley of the Dirt People, it's Tech Talk, Taco Tuesday, with your hosts, Jimmy Lewis and Logan Tyler. Okay. Welcome to Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, everybody. That means it's Tuesday, allegedly. It's the show where we talk about motorcycle and motorcycle-related products. My name is Jimmy Lewis, and tonight, co-hosting with me, my great buddy, Johnny, 11-time Baja winner, Campbell.
Yeah, hey everybody. So fun to be here with Jimmy on Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. You know, we just ate a bunch of tacos down at Romero's.
How many, so the question is, how many tacos did we really eat? Because I had 3.
Well, you were the lightweight of the crowd, for sure. I had 4. Nolan had 6. And I think Preston had 8.
Because they started with 5. And
Yeah,
then there was a second order of 4.
Yeah, 4.
4 went in.
I grabbed one of those, and then Nolan grabbed some.
Ramiro's tacos. So George jumps right into the chat, and we primed this question because George owes me some money right now. And he says, Johnny, talk about Dakar. That's such an open-ended question. So you know what? I'm going to push some buttons because, of course, as usual, is there sound coming out of this thing? What is it doing? It's using stuff from thing, but it appears that sound's coming out, and nobody's complaining that says there's no sound. So I think we're doing okay. But there is a big lag. There's definitely a big lag on one of these cameras. They all have the right lights on. This is a show where we actually have technical difficulties more than we actually, we get going. Oh, I forgot the pistons. We're going to have to take a commercial break at some point during the show.
Not right now?
No, not right away. I wanted to talk about pistons. So, Johnny, talk about Dakar, because that's what George said you should do.
Talk about Dakar. Like in general, there's like a huge history there. Dakar 25. I'm going to assume that he's talking about Dakar 25. Yeah, Dakar 25 was pretty crazy, to say the least. I mean, there's always Dakar always has big stories, right? Well, this Dakar was quite different, being that we all stayed in the same bivouac for 5 nights before the race even started. They had us in this place, and everything was good. It was nice and chilly, but every night, about right when the sun went down, around 6 or so, the wind would kick up, and you had these gnarly dust storms.
Maybe it's that camera.
And these guys would continue to have an outdoor riders-drivers meeting, Costera is sitting up there just taking it in the face. It was just blowing like crazy. I mean, I'm talking 50-mile-an-hour gusts. I can't believe they just continued to have it outside, freezing cold. But that's how the Dakar started, was, this place.
A dust storm.
It was a mess. I mean, before we even get going in the race, everything's destroyed, right? Tents, bivouacs, trucks, motorhomes. And when you wake up in the morning, though, it was quite
nice and calm.
Nice. It was nice and calm, man.
It's almost exactly like Pahrump.
Yeah, like Pahrump is now. Good training grounds.
So, so explain to everybody what your role is in Dakar with the factory Honda team. Yeah,
I think there's a big assumption that I'm running the team or running the show over there, and I'm really not. I've had a pretty big hand in development of the machine over the last decade, 12 years actually, and I help with coordinate the durability, and also my hand in the machine handling with the chassis and the suspension and all sorts of dynamics on that. When I go to Dakar, I'm considered a helper, a team liaison, in that I help with the riders. I help with, if the team needs some input.
I think what everybody wants to know is, do you wipe Ricky Brabeck's butt?
And yeah, I mean, really, the team has me there to, one was to support Ricky for
Yeah.
so many years, and
I'm
be in his corner.
I'm being an ass by saying that, but I mean I know how important that the role you have a heritage of you're overhauling the motorhome races.
Yeah. The motorhome races got kind of kibosh this year, though. Our team coordinator who has to deal with, taking all that equipment back once it gets back to Europe, like a month later.
Right.
And apparently there's a little bit of damage sometimes to the motorhomes.
But you never did any damage to any motorhome.
Never.
Allegedly.
Never. Neither did Kindle. We were
so yeah, you guys were overhauling motorhome wars, and then we're not talking just about this isn't just Honda motorhome wars. This is the entire bivouac motorhome wars. You guys are not only finding, and I heard about this because this is the part of Dakar that people don't understand, and it's different from the days. You remember back when we did it together?
Yeah.
Did you see any motorhomes?
There was zero.
Okay, we're gonna stop talking about me right now, and I'm gonna try not to cut you off either, because I allegedly on some of our better videos, you had some really good stuff to say, and all I did was cut you off. But back to the motorhome wars, and I have known nothing about this. I've just heard stories. You guys were not only the first ones into the bivouac, the new bivouac, getting everything set up. You guys had the best food. The non-moose nut. What do they call it? Moose knuckle. What do they eat? What do they have to eat?
It's
What do you eat if you
donkey beef ankle?
Donkey beef ankle. You guys.
It's true.
You guys found non-donkey beef ankle food items for Kendall to cook up, or you to cook up, or whoever's cooking it up, and you actually went to the store and got all of it. So all the other teams had to buy donkey moose knuckle.
Donkey beef ankle is a serious, it's a serious hunk of meat. And you just don't know what it is, so
it's a camel hind.
It is.
Yeah. So anyway, so you guys overhauled the motorhome races.
It's not just the motorhome, it's the motorhome worlds. It's the worlds.
Yeah. So, so there's, anyways, that's joking aside. I mean, that's a big part of it, getting your motorhome from bivouac to bivouac so that the riders have a place to stay and sleep as opposed to the ground in a tent.
Yeah.
And then having the kind of food that this is what we really should talk about. We should talk about how much it's changed.
Oh, it's changed so much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's completely different.
And I'm going to just say that those girls that are riding those girls' sissy bikes and that they sleep in motorhomes are racing at a level that's uncomprehendable to someone like me, who I train these guys and I watch what they do. And you know what? They need to sleep in a motorhome. They need a physio every single day. They need to eat stuff that they're accustomed with because it's gnarly.
Yeah, the level is so different. The race is much, much different than back in the day, when old timers like us rode it, because, back then things didn't exist. Technologies didn't exist. We raced in Africa, and Africa didn't have paved roads where you can drive a 2-wheel drive motorhome to each bivouac and have a guy there.
No, the entire event was on the course.
Yeah.
They had some bypasses for the 6x6 trucks. That they wouldn't do the gnarly dunes. They would figure out a way to go around on what we call a local road, which was the haul road to get to take the supplies into the towns, and it was mostly done. I don't even know. I mean, Africa is gnarly. Watch The Gods Must Be Crazy. Watch the movie The Gods Must Be Crazy, and that was the Africa that I technically raced in, because I saw those dudes the one day I almost died when I was trying to replumb my fuel lines, and I was looking up. I was jumping from one side of the bike to the other, and I jumped from one side of the bike to the other, and I looked, and there was these 3 little dudes in the bushes, and they were little tiny guys. They were maximum 4'3".
They had poison darts too.
Oh, they were wearing nothing. They had nothing but like a tea leaf around their junk, and they had a little satchel and a little bucket and a little tube, and there was 3 of them, and these guys were there I was like, imagine if you just lived your life and the game Space Invaders just popped up across the road from you, and there's this guy wearing Dayglow shit, and he's on a thing that goes 1,000,000 miles an hour, and you just walked out of the desert. You've never seen this before, and they're like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah.
They were on their journey to throw the Coke bottle off the cliff because that's what the gods told them to do. I seen those guys.
Yeah.
And I wasn't hallucinating at that point, not yet. So yeah, kind of, man, it's definitely different. And
Well, I think what you were alluding at, getting to at first was just, the machines are much different. If you watch old footage of what we raced back then and how loose and just the things just all over the place and we're just cruising along. We're going super fast for what that machine was.
Your bike did not have cylinders that were in front of your feet. Okay.
But now the bikes, the bikes now are just super planted. They're you could call them like a motocross bike compared to what you used to race, Jimmy. I mean, these guys ride so hard. Some of the specials might be a little shorter than what you used to do.
Okay, compared to what I raced, you rode an XR 650 that had gas tanks that were on top of the seat. Okay, they were like how they have the gull wing seat now? Yeah, this little thing to help you hold them. You had 2 giant gas tanks that wouldn't even allow you to move backwards because you had 4 gallons of fuel above fender height.
It was actually okay because it took one choice away. You just couldn't get back. You just had to just sit there.
Bruce would have loved it. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, that's the difference. So we've got questions. This is cool tonight. So Takamoto says the king of Baja in the house. Yeah, that's not me. So thanks. Some serious speed tonight. Not anymore. Not anymore. Although I did make money racing motorcycles about 3 weeks ago, so there's some speed there, right?
Yeah.
I had good pits.
Yeah.
I think I would like to thank my pit crew, especially the guy that's sitting over in the corner there who tried to hand me a beer in a National Hare and Hound. Like, are you kidding me, Preston? Who do you think I am? Like, and Chris,
he knows his racer.
Yeah, yeah, he did it. He did. Did I tell you that was in my truck? I did.
Yeah, he said there's a Modelo under the back seat.
In case of emergency.
In case of emergency.
Yeah.
You're coming in a few minutes back, so I was ready to.
Right.
This could be an emergency.
That I'm coming into the pits. Sounds good. George Justice, don't know the guy, but anyways, he has a question. Johnny, what about the text features on the road books, and what do you think about the opening points? I like the old way without.
Oh, the tech failures on the road books.
Tech failures. Okay.
So
you can see that?
Yeah.
You claimed you had to have glasses for this.
That's far enough away. It's pretty good.
Okay.
You set that up for me.
Got it.
Yeah. This year was the first year it was mandatory to run an e-road book rather than the traditional paper. And they had tested these in Morocco a couple months before. And certainly they've had these road books, these electronic road books, in the making for the last 3 or 4 years for sure. Because
I've been running electric road books now for how long? I mean, 10 years? Digital.
I don't know, 10 years. I don't know.
I want to say 10 years. I mean, we'd have to talk to the Rally Blitz guys to find out how long they've had their app and stuff.
Yeah.
And Rally Navigator had one. It's nothing brand new, but to bring it to the competition side is brand new because the paper is so tried and true and trusted, and
they're accustomed to that. They're used to that. And
right.
Then every year they've been going, oh, we're going to do it this Dakar. We're going to do it this Dakar. And then finally they did it. And they've been going through a process of development of like getting the light right and getting the screen right so these guys can see it. Because, when you have a tablet or your phone in the sun, it's really difficult to see it at certain angles. And so that's been a big thing.
Preston was trying to show me his damn road book today. Remember when I kept ducking you when you were angling because even on your paper, you're running paper today. even on your paper, it was flashing me in the eye. I mean, it's the same but different. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. And there was some failures, like George mentioned there during the race. And I think the thing is the organization wasn't really ready to react and have a rule of like, well, this failed or this didn't work, and
How much time do you get back, or should you get time back?
Should you get time back? Some riders claim, some riders got time back. Some riders claim they didn't get time back. There was a whole new book they opened that wasn't completely figured out.
Yeah.
And so it put a lot of stress on not only the teams, but also the organization. And so I think it was a development. It was a hybrid year of development and transition. So I'm sure that ERTF will figure out those bugs and it'll get better, as we go. But this year it created a little bit of chaos, and really you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, you were there to experience. I mean, for me, from the outside looking at it, going in, you know this because we've talked about it before. I knew that this kind of stuff was going to happen. I felt like it was going to happen, and so I literally wanted to artificially create some of those situations to have like the riders be able to be put in these situations, and then afterwards figure out what's going to happen.
Yeah,
because whether the screen turns off or it's just like. We've had problems with paper road books, and it just happens. It's normal. Well, now the same normal stuff is going to happen with the digital stuff, and I think that some of the teams might have been kind of a little bit more prepared for if this happens, and then being able to provide data to the organization and show that hey, we didn't do anything wrong, like your device did, and it cost our rider. And I looked at how they averaged times and different things, and I go, it's probably not the best way to do it.
The fairest way to do it.
The fairest way to do it. But then again, I wasn't there getting presented this information, and you can see how this stuff happens. But it's going to evolve, and they'll get better. And
yeah, I mean, there's like, for instance, one guy's road book stops working, so he just stops and he calls in and said, "Hey, my road book stopped working. What do I do?" Oh, okay, the helicopter will be there in 20 minutes and bring you a new one. So then that guy starts way back from there
and has
all
tracks.
sorts of tracks.
Which could be good or could be bad.
So he can, could be good, could be bad. A lot of times you get that benefit, and the guy just dials it in, and because they'll stop your time as soon as the thing, they know when that tablet stopped. Yeah. Right? So they'll deduct that, and that's your time. But then there's other guys that, oh, my tablet broke, I'm going to follow this guy in. They follow this guy in, but then they go and fight, and all of a sudden they get their time back. It's like, well, wait a minute, what, So there's a lot of things that hadn't been figured out.
It's even the same way when all of a sudden they said, hey, if you're going to do some good Samaritan and stop with a downed rider, you're going to get your time back. And then the first time they did it, everybody stopped and everybody stayed there. And then it was like it was like a restart. And it's like, okay, only the first two guys, And we're racing, and everybody's going to try to take advantage of the rules as much as they can, and however it works. But it's evolving. I think How do you? We'll talk to Preston later about cutting and taping road books. So we got bikes here. Go ahead.
One more comment was that the shit thing about it is especially for us factory guys, is like we spend millions of dollars developing motorcycle and having equipment, having a great team, and all the best equipment to be there, and then you get there, and then the race is decided on the organization's mandatory equipment.
Right.
So that's what makes it kind of crappy.
Yeah, and that's and this is we've done it whether you were down racing in Baja, and it's like, okay, now you have to stay this far from the course, but there's no way to track that, and it's like, oh, you only have to go through the checkpoints. Well, which checkpoints do I have to go through? Where are the checkpoints? This is normal racing, and whether it's Formula One, figuring out how far a wing is going to bend, or we required you run this device, and the device will have some issues just because it's being put. When they test it, it's never done to 10/10.
Yeah,
And now you've got the best riders in the world that get G-forces on their bikes and shock absorption and stuff like that. So, that's George, I really hope we answered your question because that was a deep dive. Moose knuckle is something else entirely. I live in Nevada. We don't have any moose, and
Preston, you got moose, right?
Saw one last week.
Yeah, so Preston saw a moose, so we'll talk to Preston about moose knuckle. So Michael, bring that question back up. The Indiana Whitetail Fanatics says, what 2025 dirt bike comes with the best suspension? I don't know if you know this, Johnny, but this podcast, Dirt Bike Test in General, is brought to you by Yamaha. Yamaha makes the best suspension on any 2025 dirt bike, without a doubt. I can say that from the absolute bottom of my sponsorship lead list read thing. So what do you think?
Well, you know what? I think there's this one Red Machine has been winning some shootouts, so that's pretty good, you know.
Red Machine.
Yeah.
You're talking about a Honda.
Yeah, Honda.
Yeah, I was gonna say Johnny Campbell tonight is brought to you by Yamaha. Yamaha is bringing you all of the guests on the show tonight, and they do really help us out. So if you feel the need to have the best suspension on your bike, just get a Yamaha. I would have rode a Yamaha today, but I didn't because they don't make a rally bike for me. We can talk about rally.
They probably have a better fuel pump system though.
Oh, than the one that I rode?
Yeah.
Okay. There's someplace there's a picture of my bike loaded up in the back of a van. I was gonna win the
Back of a van that's plastered with Honda.
Honda, yeah. My orange rally bike, my factory KTM, factory KTM rally bike went in the back of the factory Honda box fan today because I couldn't finish the stage, but we think it was fuel filter. I don't know. I took it halfway apart, did a little testing. We'll get to that later. What time are we starting tomorrow? Just a lot of shoulder shrugging going around here. So we can't answer that question. So Indiana Whitetail Fanatics says, from the factory, coming from someone who has a bad disc in my lower back, looking for something with really plush suspension from the factory. Okay, so he just quantified his question.
But what type of riding is he doing?
Well, we don't know, but he's just talking about if you have a bad disc in your lower back, I don't think the suspension on any bike is going to make a difference. I mean, do you think about this? From one brand, I mean, some brands might be less. I take every question seriously here. Like, knowing what I know about motorcycles and motorcycle suspension, if you have a bad back, it's probably due to a couple things. You can have a bad back, period. But if your bad back is affecting your riding, you should fix your riding. I don't think that you could pick one brand over another brand and get a better suspension. You could pick a class of bike. You could say, hey, maybe I don't need to ride the motocross bike at off-road riding. Yeah. Because he says not for motor, as I can't really jump anymore. Best XC suspension on a stock bike.
Yeah.
So if you're not jumping, you need to go to like the enduro style bike. So we're talking,
off-road bike.
Yeah, full X,
enduro,
X in the Honda brand. So,
X, RX, or whatever the other brands.
Because I like to plug my sponsors. Yamaha makes a WR, but I will tell you right now, if we were just sitting here, and I'll be honest, this is why I like to be honest. If I needed plusher suspension and I got to choose between WR and Honda CRF X, I would go CRF X. Yeah, the WR is a pretty aggressive, call it like EXC suspension. But in all honesty, if you wanted to go one step better than that, you would go KTM EXC or XCW, because that's the, when you go down like the plushest, but it's not going to fix your back. So, a guy named Mike Young?
We do.
Remember that guy? Legend.
What's up, Mikey?
We talked about you at dinner tonight.
We did. We talked about the Verdemonte.
Verdemonte. I talked about swapping a Vor, which is a Verdemonte kind of copy. I talked about swapping a Vor through a rhythm section at the U.S. Open and crashing into the starter box. And we were going, well, Mike had the real one. He had the Verdemonte.
Verdemonte, yeah.
Yeah, and I had the Vor. So, yeah, Mike Young. What are you missing?
You just missed tacos tonight, Mike. That's all you missed.
I got to get Mike on the show because when Mike was I grew up racing 125 novice, 125 intermediate against Mike Young. And he was always way faster on mini bikes, but when he moved up, we still battled all the time at Paris and at Dianza. And he was one of those guys that would ride weird bikes. I don't know.
Kajiva, like early.
He was Kajiva guy.
Like 80. What was that? 86?
We were Yamahas for a long time, and then so Mike's legend. He ended up on Verdemonte's for Husaberg, by the way. He was a Husaberg guy.
Yep, and he was a factory Honda racer.
You suckered him into doing what?
Well, Bruce was the one that pulled him in.
Because he was 4-stroke national champion.
Yep. And then Crippa built him this super hybrid 628 fire breathing.
Would we call it Barkmaster level?
I think it was more than that. The thing was a ground pounder for sure. But Mike can ride 4 strokes.
Yeah.
There's
he
no
was
doubt.
He was definitely
before most of our viewers know what 4 strokes were.
Right, yeah, this was back when they were saying, they're saying, hey, 4-strokes are cool, and everybody's like, F that stuff, like, not even close. And
big heavy,
flexy,
just,
So you got him to race an XR 628 ish thing at the 4-stroke motocross nationals.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, and it was a Crippa hybrid.
Yeah. It was a Barkmaster then, certified. So yeah, what are you missing? You're missing coming out here. One of these, I got to get you out here one of these days in the studio. I'd love to, because we'll talk about goon riding and testing at the magazine level and all this other stuff. So Mark Daniels is watching. Oh, Mark, hold on, just for you. Hold on. So this is going to cause some issues here. Don't worry. That tail, so some of you might recognize this bottle, especially Mark Daniels. The last time this bottle was out here, it was on the show, and I put it in the hands of this man. Nope, not anymore. He spilled probably $200 worth of tequila on this table. Do you recall that? Not at all. Remember. Yeah, so we're gonna do 3 R's here. I'll let you pour me one of these. Get this. Here, I'll have some of this. Hold on, I have I have the tequila cam. Watch this. That's the special tequila cam. So this is the 3 R's. There we go. There's the label. Yeah. So in case you're wondering, so Mark, we're gonna do 3 R's, right? Or I'm gonna do 3 R's because Johnny is smarter than me and he's not gonna have any.
No, thank you.
Okay. So I'll move on to the next question. You can work on that. I'll take it in this one right here. Only a little bit. Don't spill. Tech Talk Taco Tuesday night brought to you by Yamaha, and of course we have Johnny Campbell, 11-time Baja 1000 winner, and the only reason it's 11 and not 10 is because I was lucky enough to ride with him one time and he handed me a victory. Okay, I got a question from Brian Kalahari. Johnny, having raced the Nevada Rally many years ago, what are your thoughts on the Battleborn trying to resurrect the event?
Battleborn Rally trying to resurrect the event. I don't even know what the Battleborn Rally is. I'm not sure.
I do just a little bit, because actually NAR was kind of working with these guys somehow. So they're trying to resurrect the Nevada Rally. And I think it's a bunch of real enthusiast guys that would really like to do it. And unfortunately, I think they started talking to the land management agencies and realized how difficult it was.
Very difficult.
I talked to Casey Folks back when Casey was still alive.
Yeah.
I talked to Casey and I said, hey, what would it take to get to the Nevada Rally to go again? Having some race promotion experience. And he said, Jimmy, just don't even think about it. And I go, no, I'm really serious. I want to put in the work. And he goes, it's not like it used to be. And Casey knew probably better than anybody. You know, Casey folks, Best in the Desert. They're the ones that put on the original Nevada Rally. And you cannot have an event like this with current land management policies, because you have to mark the course, because your course is your course. If you think that you would put on an event, if somebody goes off course, you are responsible for that person.
Yeah.
And if they do any damage to the environment, and we're talking to motorcycle people and they're like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
No, this is the way that the land management agencies have to operate. So it's really difficult. I work on an event that is a rally, and I can't tell you how many routes that we permit that we never put a tire on. And this is four-wheel. It's four-wheel. It's women driving stock vehicles with license plates on them, and they're never speeding. So that doesn't. So your bike, and there's the Kota rally. There's a guy that does a Kota rally. It's in Utah and Colorado. And if you read his regulations on what he requires, I know he's having a difficult time getting going again. I don't know if he's got it going again. But if you read the regulations that he has to abide by to make that work, it's off the chart. And thank God there's people that are at least pushing these envelopes and trying to figure out how to make it work. But
my thoughts are it would be
so bitchin'.
It'd be so awesome.
It was
so fun. That event was amazing.
We are going to re-ride the Nevada Rally. You don't know this yet. We've talked about it.
We talked about it. We
are going to go. We have the old map books, and we know enough about how to figure it out. And Preston, how old were you? 0. Yeah. Back when your dad was like dominating the Nevada Rally, even though he really didn't know what he was doing.
He wasn't even 0. He was like -6.
Yeah, -6. Yeah, yeah. That's literally what gave me the opportunity to be able to go do Dakar, and you too probably
both
as well.
Us,
yeah,
for sure.
The fact that Franco Cherby's, one of my heroes, saved me from a life of slavery in Mauritania, Zurich, Mauritania. Franco got me out of that country when I could have just been
a slave.
Just be a slave. I'd be working in the iron mine right now.
For the guys
Yeah. No, those guys didn't run it. It was a different group of guys that run it. So but Franco pushed some buttons. Eric Pinard definitely opened some doors, and you think about just all, crazy. But okay, so J Ray says, haven't owned a modern dual sport, looking at a 2015 FE350S. Is that a Honda? No.
FE's a Husky, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know what those are called. They're called Huskies? Yeah, because it's not a Yamaha either. Anyways, mostly desert single track, exploring 2-track, short highway runs, connected forest roads. Are these bikes pretty reliable for remote trips? Any bike that you buy, you're shaking your head. You think you should buy a Honda?
Yeah.
Well, guess what?
A newer bike.
So, 2015. That's not that bad. How many of those bikes in my garage are above 2015? I would take.
How many of them run?
Every one. I would take almost every one of the bikes that's in my garage right now, and I would go do what I did today. And the bike that I rode today was like a 2020, and it didn't even make it. It's going to be a long show. So, anyways, they're pretty reliable. But you have no idea what the guy that owned it before you did, previous owners did.
How long has it been sitting?
So let's talk about me. I mean, no, not really. I don't like talking about myself, but the only reason I had a problem that the bike I was riding today is, Jim from Utah, my buddy Jim.
Yeah.
That was his bike. And so anything that happens to it now, even though I've owned it for 2 or 3 years, is largely because of whatever he did. So I have no idea what he did, but that's why it broke today, because of Jim. So Jim, if you're watching, you can come down anytime and you can give me a refund on some of the purchase price. Because Preston, I was so close. No vouch for this. We were catching up. We were making time in that sand wash. Because I knew the navigation a little bit. I was ready to, make it. Okay. Mike Young again. JC, I have a question for you. Can you answer this?
Yeah.
When can you guys get a heads-up displays and somehow eliminate the nav on the bike? Wouldn't that be rad?
I'm just saying that's going to be like hologram inside the goggles or whatever, like a heads-up display. If that's what he's talking about, then I don't know. It's this is so regulated by the organization. I think that's a long way off.
What will the penalties be when your heads-up display disappears and you can't see it? Who do you blame?
Yeah.
At that point, do you blame the internet service provider, or is it your goggle lens internet, or your heads-up display guy?
Yeah.
And how much time do I get back?
Yeah.
Can you prove that the heads-up display went down and that's why I got lost?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
a lot of questions there.
they have this exists. So at the AIM show I just went to, there was a company that had heads-up display, and they had all this data that they can collect from your bike. You plug into the ODB port or someone, one of the ports in the bike, and you could see engine temperature, coolant temperature, RPM, and they took that, and then they also took GPS data, and you could see what channel you're listening to on the
It reminds me of Time Rider though.
Time Rider.
Time Rider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Good stuff. That'd be pretty cool. But we're a long ways off from that being in a competition situation, I would think.
right. So just to even roll back, so when I was doing rally, there were teams, we were one of them, that we had little strip of LED lights across the top of our visor that when you could set a cap heading by pushing a button, and it would zero in, and then if you went off cap, the light would move.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
it got banned. It instantly was banned. So there's always been people thinking about this stuff. So it just worked off the cap repeater.
Yeah.
It was just information that delivered to it. So it was a way that you could actually do it. And I thought it was really cool in the beginning, and then I realized that I didn't need it. I was doing that in my brain already.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, like you said, the technology's there, but I mean, they're just adapting to a tablet on the handlebars. It's like, I can't see that happening in the next, couple
right.
years.
So Dave Ritter asks, and we're going to get to all your questions. If you're sitting there waiting, we have, man, you get a lot of good questions, Johnny. Like when I do this show, it's just like I walk around and mumble to myself. Dave Ritter, how much are the Rally 450s weighing, and how much fuel capacity? He says gas, but fuel capacity, yes.
Yeah, fuel capacity for a rally bike, competition rally bike, is about 34 to 35 liters, which will get you 250 competition kilometers, the fast guys. You can get more than that for the amateurs.
And for us gallon people, that's
9 gallons.
9 gallons.
8.5 to 9 gallons is 34 liters.
Yeah. What did our bikes back in the day? I thought mine was only 8 or 9. My rally, my BMW.
You probably had at least 9 gallons on that pig.
Yeah. Thanks. Well, we had different tanks. We had 2 sets of tanks.
Yeah, the big.
We had a short stage tank and a big stage tank, because that weight does make a difference.
Big difference.
And overall, what's the weight overall?
I
Don't know
I can't specify the weight. I don't really know it actually, but
there's a limit.
You figure 9 gallons of fuel is 60 pounds, so it's like that's a lot of weight. So I mean, I guesstimate the bike's about 380 pounds full of gas.
380.
Yeah,
it's crazy. So dry weight is 60. So I'm gonna do some. So 300 pound dry weight.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, I don't think it's that much, is it? You know what? When you're not looking, I'm going to have Jimmy Tyler roll that thing on a set of scales. Yeah, because I don't know how that would happen, because you can't just drop off rally bikes and expect them to end up here. Yeah.
No.
Hoof Hearted says, can you explain how the waypoints work at Dakar?
Well, there's several different types of waypoints. There's waypoints, security waypoints for like a danger. There's waypoints that open.
So like an M waypoint that guides you into the.
Yeah, it guides you in. Some of them have bigger circumference when, like, say your arrow opens.
There's C waypoints that are basically to make sure you're staying on track. So it'd be like a VCP is what our Baja friends would like to call that.
Yeah.
There's all different kinds of waypoints, and then sometimes when we say waypoints, that's a note in the road book.
Yeah.
Like those are waypoints as opposed to the track that you're supposed to stay on.
Yeah. So I think explain how they work is that in your road book, on the route, there's waypoints. So there's these certain positions along the route that it's mandatory to have to go to those. They don't tell you where they are. They'll say in the road book if the note is a waypoint and the type of waypoint it is. But once you, like some waypoints, when you are approaching them, they'll open up like, say, a half a mile before you get there and might have an arrow pointing you, guiding you to the center of that waypoint. Say if you're in the dunes or something. Then once you gather that waypoint, then your GPS like collects them. So they're like little points that you have to collect, like breadcrumbs along the way.
Yeah. And if you miss it, you get penalized.
Yeah, it's a big time penalty. So that's and kind of that's how they work.
Yeah, it's like I said, if you read the regulations, which is really easy to do. I mean, you can just go on ASO website and have the regulations, and there's a whole thing dedicated to the different styles of waypoints. And it's complicated, but it's actually really simple. So Francois Duro says, "Hi guys from Mexico. Hi, Odele.
Buenos noches.
Buenos noches. Good evening." Yeah. Matthew Bannon, sorry, a little late checking into the show, so apologies if this may have been asked before. Johnny, could you give us a little rundown on how the new HRC Red Moto collaboration on the rally parts for the 450RX and specifically how things will be handled in North America in terms of availability?
I can answer part of this question. First things, I don't know how it'll be handled in North America.
You have a cat.
Hi. That's a Selma.
Pass the cat.
There you go. There's the cat. So I don't know how exactly it's going to be handled in North America, whether it's by American Honda or Red Moto. So can't answer that. The collaboration between the two is the bike it's kind of made up of three different parts. Say it's production Honda parts like CRF production parts like the frame, the swing arm. The engine is built by HRC. It's a combination of say an X or an L like lower end where it has a 6-speed with an R style top end, so it's like a racing hybrid, something like.
So it's like the bikes you were building to race in Baja.
Correct. So our like Preston's Mint 400 bike, his Hare and Hound bike, his Vegas Torino bike is basically this engine where it's an XL bottom end with an R top end. And so then Red Moto builds the kit as far as like the tanks and the bolt-on chassis items. So I believe they're in a Chirby's molded tank. So we know they're durable because they're the same as what the factory bikes use. Not identical tanks, but same dependability. So there's HRC parts like the tower, the motor, things like this that will be part of that package, but there's also Italian Red Moto parts, and then there's also Honda production parts. So it's like a kind of a trio.
They're doing the Honda, and I'll say this Honda style thing where they're kind of going overboard on testing it for durability and fit and finish.
Yeah.
And this, I mean, they've raced it for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
They've been testing the different things. Preston, you gonna race it? Allegedly, we don't know.
Yeah, Preston should have one of these bikes pretty soon.
Yep.
And he'll start putting it through the paces and doing some testing. And
I want to test one.
so,
I want to ride it like for 20 miles. And then I'll just go back on my bike that'll just break and leave me out in the sand wash. And I'll have to steal somebody's Honda to put my leg out and push them all the way back in push them on my bike back in on the muffler.
yeah.
It didn't happen today.
Yeah,
So,
I think the North America availability is still being worked up.
yeah. So Mr. Smithers says, I got a couple of Yamaha. Dependable for sure. The 5 valves in particular. And then he gives us a little funny emoji. Well, thank you, Mr. Smithers, because they're a sponsor of this show, and I have not had any Yamaha durability problems. My problems today were definitely caused by the previous owner. Jim caused any problem that I had today. So if you're in Utah and you want to drive down here and we can negotiate the fix to this thing, that's okay. Travis Mahoney has a question. One of the reasons I like motocross, if you win or lose, is almost always based on the individual, not navigation or equipment. But huge respect for being able to navigate the endurance it takes. Do motocross guys transition very well to endurance racing? Johnny?
I believe yes, but it's depends on the individual.
Can I cut you off?
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna.
Well, in my opinion, the motocross guys, like top motocross guys, have a certain level of bike handling skills, which are very good, but a lot of them don't understand the endurance part of it. And how hard to ride the machine or how hard you ride the section.
It's sprint runner versus marathon runner in some aspects.
Mm-hmm.
Although a motocross guy is already a marathon runner, so I would go marathon runner versus ultra runner in the physicality of it.
Yeah.
I think but can they navigate and can they do all this stuff? They have the bike handling skills.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never doubted a guy that's a high-level motocross guy. Do they have the bike handling skills? Yes, they absolutely have the bike handling skills. Andrew Short is a perfect example of this.
Yeah.
And I remember when we very first started riding with them in the desert, you before me, like that guy was really slow in the desert.
Yeah.
And it's not a slam on Andrew, but he's like, how the hell do you guys like go so fast? You guys are crazy. Are you taking your brains out and throwing them off your shoulder and just pinning it? And it's like, no, we're reading terrain, and it's experience and time and years of doing this stuff. But it's not to say that those. I think if you're a really good navigator and you're a really good motocrosser, and you said, Jimmy, pick a guy that's going to be a better top level rally guy, I would go with the motocross guy all day long, because the bike handling skills for me seem to, what do we want to call it? Huevos? you have a certain amount of huevos to be able to handle a bike like that, where maybe if you're really good at the technical skills of, thinking about navigation, that could be kind of costly in, you can't hang it out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's a part of it.
Yeah, so moto guys can do it, but it definitely has to have the right mindset, like Andrew did. Andrew learned it, right? He came in with the right mindset. There's a lot of motocross guys who can't do it. I mean, you take even like Kenny Gardner. I mean, the guy. I don't know if he ever finished a rally. Blazing speed.
Yeah.
Blazing skills, but couldn't knock it back a notch just to
take. Well, I think it was
save the body.
I think it was take the time to learn this, and that's what Andrew did. And much credit to Andrew, because he realized, he thought we were all crazy, and then he went, "No, you guys actually do have skill," because he paid attention to it, and it's like, well, how do you learn this ESP? That you're seeing around the corners and stuff. It's like, it just takes time. and he really put the work in to take the time. And I always say Andrews still is to this day one of the best navigators I've ever seen, like in a level of precision, almost to a fault. And he, he had all the package. He could ride the bike really good. He could navigate really good. I think he didn't. What did he always tell me? And this is something that was told to me. It's like, Jimmy or Andrew, you value your life too much. Because at some point to go to the level of 10-10, because there's other guys that just hang it out.
Yeah.
And we've all seen this.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that always, like, I don't want to say turn me off about desert racing, is you could just be an idiot and get away with it and look like a hero. And it didn't take that much skill to just, have some big giant huevos and throw your brain away.
Yeah.
So lots of story there. Let's see. Mike Young is a good guy. Yes. Mike Young, tell the JC story of our Parker.
Well,
I don't know this one. Do I?
I don't know if you know this one.
Okay.
But, back in the day, back in '93, my kids' ears are bleeding from
We'll
hearing stories.
call it pre-Preston.
Pre-Preston. Mike Young was my race partner at American Honda Off-Road. Bruce put us together. And our first off-road race together was a Parker 400.
Yeah.
I was young, just coming into the team, and I'd been riding some off-road races, of course, but I was still very, very inexperienced, especially at that level, especially with a bike like the XR 628 that we were racing. And, so anyway, I started the race. I think we had good mentors too. I mean, Charles Halcomb and Chuck Miller were like our teammates, but we pre-ran with them and they gave us really good insight, right?
Yeah.
But I think I came in and I think I hit something, and we had a pipe that was all spring loaded, so it popped out when I hit this GL. So I came in at midway, just pop, 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 pop. So they put the pipe back on, it popped out. Mike got on the bike, took off, and just crashed it was like 200 yards from the pits. Cartwheeled. He came back around, and we had a big fairing on the bike at that time.
I know the fairing. I remember
experimenting with the fairing.
I had one
stuff.
on a KTM 125.
And so Mike came in. He was destroyed, right? And I'm like, okay, they pull the fairing off, and I start ripping down Osborne Wash, come back up around through the rocks, and then I was going way too fast for my skill level. And I swapped out, broke my ankle, rode the bike back in.
Hey, you were kind of like, you weren't a motocross guy, but you were a Grand Prix guy.
I was a Grand Prix kid. Yeah.
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 That's almost as bad, right?
Because it was kind of worse, right? Because I didn't have full motocross skills, but I didn't have full desert skills. So I was like kind of somewhere in between.
My wife tells me about how you used to trail ride. So
yeah, I was a terrible trail rider. I never did that. So
yeah.
Jimmy and Heather taught me how to do that. But so Mike and I's first race didn't really go so well. we destroyed the bike.
I didn't know that you guys kind of started out together because
I think Mike ended up finishing the race, but I'm sure he had a concussion, and I was on crutches. Bruce got on the bike because he was like an alternate rider
of record.
So,
yeah,
like he rode a section for us. We were a disaster.
Yeah, I kind of.
I'm surprised he didn't get rid of both of us.
Yeah, we were all racing at the time. It was like I was full racer at that time when all this was going on. I remember, because I'd transitioned to off road. I'd gone from motocross to off road. Now I see Mike Young transition off road, and I'm like going, you have no idea what you're getting into. This is it's really stupid. Because I didn't know how much we all liked riding. But I didn't know if he really liked riding. Like, how when you're
off-roaders, you gotta really like
you're
riding.
In the grit of even the Hare and Hound I did a couple weeks ago when there was a point in the middle, someplace in the middle of a race, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like why am I doing this? Like, I don't need to do this. But it's because I really like riding my motorcycle, and I'm weird because I've learned to switch my brain and you're the same way.
Yeah.
You switch your brain into there's a part where it's a job, and we're at the point where it's no longer it's sometimes a job, but it's not really a job. But you switch your brain into like, wait, I really like doing this.
Yeah.
And if you're motocross guys, I can see you racing motocross for a long time and not liking riding motorcycles. It's just your job. Just like, I don't want to go paint this house. I don't want to sit in front of this computer all day and do spreadsheets. I don't want to take orders at McDonald's.
Yeah.
There's a point. There's a reason why you get paid for what you do. It's not called a fun. It's called a job. So, should I thank my sponsors again? No, I'm not gonna. I want to thank Johnny Campbell for coming on the show tonight. Oh, hold on. That's a podium hat, Johnny.
Podium Pirelli hat.
So podium Pirelli hat. If you look up here, I'm gonna click it to Johnny's thing. This is look at the wings there. That's nice. I'm a Pirelli guy now too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got some.
Came around 30 years later.
Well, I can't remember the name of my old tire sponsor thing, but I got clipped. You know how it happens?
Yeah.
Every once in a while you get clipped from a sponsor.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I did. I wish I knew what I did. I'd like to know what I did. But anyways, when that freed up, because I'm super loyal, I poked down the Pirelli avenue. You went Pirelli before I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. They make some really good tires. That's all I need to say. So Pirelli, thank you. My Tenere, I put the Rally, the Rally Desert Race. It's a special, kind of desert racing tire.
Yeah.
But if you want to put a tire on your adventure bike that makes it work good on the dirt, can't say enough about that. So we'll switch that hat a little bit. Mike Young sounds like someone needs a mechanic. Mark Daniels, yeah, all my Honda run 2001. Oh, all of his Hondas run.
All of them run. XR650, 2006 XR650, 2007 CRF 450X.
I don't want to be a bummer here, Mark, but my Hondas, because the models you listed there, my XR650, it's for sale. It
Has a
starts.
Chevy starter on it.
It has it has an electric starter, but you have to kick it, and the pilot is a little gummy. And then I have a CRF 250X. I have two of them. One's an all-wheel drive Christini, and they both have plug pilot jets. Do you clowns know how to clean pilot jets on those particular
They
bikes?
don't even know what they are.
My whole big bike career riding has been fuel injected.
Fuel injected. So these kids don't know what a carburetor is. Are you good mechanics, though? Because you can figure it out. It's a thing. You take it off the motorcycle. You go in there and you find the thing and you clean it out. And you put the thing back on and the bike works perfect. Yeah. So there we go. Chris Alamangos got a question for you. You remember the Wogs?
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, the Alamangos bros. Hi, Johnny. This is a question for both of you. When someone wants their motocross bike set up for off-road or enduro, etc., on the suspension, how do you keep the spring rate the same and just change the valving? And if so, is it just the low speed or would it be the high speed? Boy, that's a... So you want to keep the stiff springs. Generally, you want to go... I find that on off-road bikes, you want to go down a spring rate. Does that sound typical?
Yeah,
If you take a
sure.
motocross bike, don't care what it is, if you want it to work off-road, you want to go down a spring rate no matter what. And then it seems like mostly the low speed valving, you kind of take away a little bit low speed, or
I take out high speed too, because that's going to affect like the quick shaft speed stuff, like a little edge or a rock or something. But also too, it's not just the compression valving, the rebound valving. You're going to want that to be a little freer too for recovery on
everything
on
needs
edges.
needs to move a little bit more.
A little bit more, because you're not carrying as much. Well, you can carry as much speed, like say if they're desert racing or something. But desert racing super tricky because you have technical parts and high speed big holes and stuff. But if you're talking like enduro, you can really open up the valving and just make it move more, a little more friendly. You get a little more side bite traction. So a little lighter spring, and the valving needs to be a little more freed up.
Chris, I'll just tell you what I would do. if the company that you're talking about makes a motocross bike and an off-road bike and it's similar components, so CRF 450R and X and L are kind of using the same shock, kind of using the same forks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know on Yamahas across the line, they're using the same components.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to know what you would do, if you just look at the parts fish, you could look at the parts fish and see the different part numbers and the different stacks inside of it, and you can see exactly what they decide to do. And generally, it's the right direction.
Yeah.
I don't, like I said, the difference would be like KTM, where they go to a whole completely different suspension shift on the XCW. But if you look at the gas or the Husky, that is the motocross bike, because they're still running the linkage. There's ways you can look at it and see what the manufacturers are doing. But I mean I'm completely against like trying to, because there's the problem is with the motocross bike, when you go off road, there's other things, mostly transmission ratios, gear ratios. It's a short closed course gearbox, and that's a little bit preventive. Sometimes the cam, the cam profile, the compression, these things don't lend themselves to off road. So it's not just one thing, it's all of the things kind of combined that make it tough. So hopefully that answers your question. On Every Sunday says, is Kiefer's National Hare and Hound CRF 450X built and ready to race yet? Do you know anything about this?
No.
Why didn't I have a JCR built Honda 450X? I had to bring my bike out of my garage, my Blue Crew Yamaha WR450 that had way too much power for the application. That power killed me in that race. By the way, if you want the fastest WR450, just email me. I'll give you a map. So I don't know why it's not built yet. Probably, if it was, I probably rode it today. Where are you riding? Was that a 450 we were riding today? I rode? Yeah, I didn't even pay attention. It pushed my KTM just fine. That's probably the one. Is that the Kendall bike?
Yeah.
It's like the loaner?
Yeah.
That would be it.
That was the pre-runner right?
Yeah. So, let's see. Flynn 825, Mr. Campbell and Mr. Lewis. Okay, so I've already discounted this guy because he's addressing us like adults. How can I best learn to balance on a wheelie? How do I overcome the fear of falling backwards? Is sitting or standing better? Thanks. He asked you first.
Yeah, well, I like to sit, and quite honestly, I'm not the best wheelie guy. I wheelie, but like I'm not a very good
only because your bike has way too much power, and you just turn the throttle and the front wheel comes up, right?
Yeah, it's fun.
Every time I ride a Husaberg, Johnny, have I ever told you about when I ride Husabergs?
Too many times.
I hop on them, and whether it's a 570 or 650, there's really the visceral experience of turning the throttle and just having that front end come up, and you feel like you're going to loop, and you have to back off, and the front end still keeps coming up, almost like a speedway bike. You back off, it gets more traction, even
More.
So at that point, I'm just using my wrist to control my wheelie on my Husaberg, whatever it is. So I don't know if you have that problem with your Hondas.
It depends which Honda.
So how do you learn to balance on a wheelie? I would learn, in all honesty, how to control the wheel loft in the beginning. So just when that wheel starts coming off the ground, it's only coming off the ground because you want it to. And then when you know that you can be in control of this, then you start, since you're in control, you start allowing the bike to come up more to where we get to what we call the balance point. Because what you're trying to achieve is balance on a wheelie. He says it right there. That's the critical point, and I'm not that good at it either.
You're better than I am.
I stand up on the seat and do all this like the wheelie boys do. You actually just watch the videos from Philadelphia or whatever, and generally those guys ride Blue Crews. By the way, you notice this? Like that whole street scene in Los Angeles a couple months ago or a month ago. Like, they got more publicity out of that than this Hayden Deegan kid. Like, the bros were ripping the streets of L.A. on a bunch of YZs. 4 strokes, 2 strokes. They had the whole mix. So if you want a wheelie bike, get a Blue Crew, by the way. So sitting or standing, I a lot of times, think about it. If you're just doing power wheelies, which are so easy, just if you're on a Husaberg, you only have to go like half throttle and you're doing a power wheelie. But tap the bell. Yeah, hit the bell. Okay. So I said Husaberg again. So if I a lot of times will start sitting and then I'll start standing up. Do you ever do that? You kind of get to the point where you stand up because you have more. Now the bike's kind of getting on the rear wheel and you can allow the bike to move underneath you. Because if you're sitting on it, you're part of the bike. And this is the problem in all riding. If you're sitting on the bike, you're part of the bike. Once you stand up, you come away from the bike. Now you can use your mass to kind of control this. So, Flynn, if you send us all the scabs that you have from falling off the back of your motorcycle, we'll put it on the next podcast. I promise.
Nice.
Yeah, because that's what happens. Yeah. Like, you know when you've gone too far in your wheelie? Most people, like, their feet come off the foot pegs and their number one savior, which is the brake, they no longer can touch the brake because they go, whoa, your feet come off and then they can't hit the brake. So when you're practicing the wheel off, I used to have a motorcycle school. I used to teach people, and people go, I want a wheelie. I'm like, no, you don't, because you're going to crash.
You're going to crash.
Okay. Victor says, JC, if there was a fuel-injected XR 650R, would you prefer that over the Sierra 450R? That's a good question, by the way. And why do you think Honda hasn't built the modern XR 650R? That's a really good question.
It's a great question because I believe there is a market for that. I think there's a space for a 650R, and it'd be a fun bike. I think I don't know if I'd prefer it because I like the 450R, but I think the 650R would just be a little bit different type of riding, and but a big single like that would be super fun. I always, of course, enjoyed my 650Rs.
Yeah, there's a place in our hearts for that particular
space
motorcycle, that big, like I said, the big single. So KTM makes the 690, which I'm not a big fan of. I don't know why. Because it has a great motor but the chassis doesn't work. And for me, there's things. And then like, what about the KLR 650? Well, that is antiquated in almost every way. And then DR 650, which is a really nice package if you don't expect a lot of performance. XR 650L, still around, right? To this day,
yeah.
Still around this day. Air cooled. It's not the 650R. And so he's talking about this blend of, like, how would you put XR 650 into CR 450X, kind of that fuel injection. I agree with you 100%. Like, why isn't that, if you took that and you put it in like a rally shaped frame, that would be be pretty neat.
That would be a very fun bike. And I can't tell you why Honda hasn't built that bike.
But that motor was never designed to be kick-started. Remember, well, because you were heavily involved in the development, that bike was supposed to be light and agile.
Yeah.
And at the time it kind of was, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
It did what it was supposed to do.
We were racing against KX 500s, and we needed something that could beat those in Baja and Nevada and stuff, and that's why that bike was developed.
I don't want to remind you, but we didn't beat a KX 500. Yeah, we rode an XR 600, and what was my one request? Do you remember my one request when you said, "Hey Jimmy, would you ride with me?" And because I rode with you 2 years previous, and we had a little bit of a rough go.
Yeah.
We finished second overall, but it was still.
But we had some problems.
I had a problem. You had a problem.
Yeah.
I managed the problem.
Yeah.
We finished. What was my one request when you said you want to do it again?
Stock bike.
Stock bike.
Stock bike.
That stock bike will go faster than
than the pumped up one because it didn't overheat.
It didn't have. It didn't. I just remember the pumped up one going down the road at about like 60 miles an hour, and I go, I've got to stock one of these things in the garage to go like 20 miles an hour faster
My
than this.
pre-runner went faster.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
So that was
frustrating, but
and people like, and still this day I get a lot of crap like, oh, you don't run your KTM with reeds in it. The bike I was riding today has the reed valve in the intake track, kids. Yeah, they're all looking at me like, what? No, I had the reed valve in the intake track. So, yeah, I don't have an ECU. It's a stock ECU. The only thing that's on that thing as far as performance is a muffler. That's it.
Victor, keep pushing for a 650, and so will I.
Yeah. Yeah. And Mark says, my cat is cool. Well, you don't have to feed her every day. That's a pain in the ass. It's almost like a wife.
Easy there, tickets.
Yeah. Let's see. Flynn says, I think Honda should just buy out Red Moto. Well, Flynn, you don't understand the business environment of this whole arrangement, right?
Yeah.
Michael Fredericks. Hi, Michael. On every Sunday. Okay, here we go. If California is getting away from green and red stickers, will Honda redesign the 450X and lighten it up and uncork it from the factory? Can I interrupt you, Johnny?
You can go ahead. I don't need to.
CRF 450 RX. Thank you.
There's a bike there already.
They already make it. Yeah.
Make that bike.
Yeah, there it is, right there. Does anybody want to argue with me? Okay. Guess what? Yamaha YZ450FX. Yamaha, big sponsor of the show, bringing you Johnny Campbell tonight. Otherwise, yeah, he's so pissed off. That's right. Can I wear that Pirelli hat? Yeah. Here.
Switch it up.
Yeah, you can't wear this one. You got a fly hat?
No, I'll go back to throttle jockey.
Back to throttle jockey.
I didn't have a fly one with
Wow,
me
your
tonight.
head's this small?
No.
You should be like me and just your head explodes.
I don't have the big.
Yourself.
I don't have the big gym head. But.
Let's see. Carb needs to go. Okay, I agree. Let's see. Carb could be ended in California. Okay, we're going down chitter chatter zone here. Jason Abbott, U.S. I agree. We're gonna ride an electric Can-Am pretty soon. Isn't that Canadian? Let's see. Yes, Bruce. Ride my bike back to me, and I had finished with a concussion so bad.
Yeah, see, that's
I
remember.
The spelling is exactly like the concussion. Let's see. Pat Inhaler says, hey, guys, hope you're having a good evening. Well, can't you tell? Yeah. Hey. Put the kids up there. Oh, George, thank you.
You done with us, George?
Yeah. Do you guys have George stickers on your shirt? Like next to that Rhino Power thing, you put the George sticker. They're around here someplace. Actually, if you go down there by the window that's in the far end of this building, there'll be George stickers. No, way over the other zone. And get me a beer someplace too, by the way. Let's see. It's easier to clean a carb than a fuel injected system. When do you have to clean the fuel injection system? Other than what I was doing today.
I've never cleaned a fuel injection system on my Hondas.
Yeah, I've back. So the beer is in the. You got the George stickers. Yeah, put those in your shirts. And then if somebody walks out to the exit, like you're going to leave this building, over in the far corner, there's a Miller High Life champagne and beers thing. I'd like to enjoy one of those.
And a water.
Johnny needs the water. He's dehydrating. Hey guys, a bike selection question for you. My older buddy. This is Jason Abbott, who's 6'3", hasn't ridden motorcycles for a long time, is buying his son a CRF 250F to learn how to ride on. He's wondering what would be the best bike for him to trail ride with his son. He's thinking a 450 is too much, but he wants a bike with enough power to pull him around. 6'3" at what weight? Because I've seen 6'3" guys that are 190 pounds, and I've seen 6'3" guys that are 330. Oh, cheers.
Yeah, 6'3" is a pretty big dude. I mean, a 450X would be a great bike for him to ride. You know, in stock trim, it'd be, I think, perfect. And to ride with his kid on the CRF 250F. You know, or Jimmy has a couple.
I have bikes for sale. So Jason, have the guy call me. I have KTM 525s. I have some KTM 500s, KTM 350s. I got a lot of used bikes that would be perfect for him to ride around on. And you can come down and pick it up. We can go trail riding. You can ride the bike and verify it, and then you can take it back to him. Just bring cash. So take a shot every time he says Husaberg. Okay, Husaberg. Big tickets. Mark Daniels says my 06 XR 650R is named Bruce because of the parts I have from him and Kendall.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I have a skillet in here that's named Kendall because every time I put food in it, I wonder why I can't cook it as good as that hippie freak guy. If anybody's seen Kendall, have him call me. I need to talk to Kendall. Let's see. George says, and the bike you rode today didn't make it back to the van, but the reeds were in it. Yes, the reeds were in it. It made it back to the van. I pushed it with a Honda. I pushed my KTM with a Honda because it would only go about 3 or 4 miles an hour on its own. And let's see. And Victor says, who is in the peanut gallery tonight? By the way, I'd like to introduce my co-host, Johnny Campbell, 11-time Baja 1000 winner, member of the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame, a legend in the go fast out in the desert world, a good friend of mine. This guy is the only reason I've ever won the Baja 1000 once. That's it. Yeah, otherwise I wouldn't have ever won the Baja 1000.
You didn't have to take the opportunity, but you did.
Hey, and I'll tell you something about this because they say, how come they don't talk about it all the time? Because I don't like talking about myself. But I will tell you that we beat the trophy trucks.
We beat Ivan Stewart.
We didn't have to beat any. That was one of the easiest races I've ever done. Like I got on the bike, I just rode it. Like I was another trail ride. It was like pre-running, we'll call it. I rode it to the finish line, and we won, and by a substantial margin on the bikes, because you put a lot of time on everybody else. So there's no pressure on me. I just didn't have to do something stupid, which I would say 80% of the Baja 1000 is racing against the course
and the environment, cows.
Yeah, will you give me that? 80%
wire.
of your competitor is the peninsula?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's going to take you out, your other competitors. But we beat very capable trophy trucks at the time. And in the peninsula run, that's difficult.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah,
so
back then it was really difficult.
Yeah. So it was but thanks for letting me get a second chance of that because the first one sucked. I was so mad. I was so pissed off at that because it was a lot of work.
Frustrating.
It's so frustrating. So, anyways, on every Sunday, will Honda jump back into the two-stroke game? Johnny doesn't speak for Honda. Johnny speaks for Johnny and JCR, and you're super Honda loyal and stuff like that. Because Kawasaki put out that video with two-stroke sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they're evidently getting back into it.
Mm.
And Honda tried EXP2. Remember that?
Yeah, 1995.
Yeah, they had the clean burning two-stroke.
Yeah,
they were looking at this, but it didn't really go very far.
They won't jump back in there.
Yeah, so yeah, two-stroke game. Okay, can we bring the kids in?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm gonna exit.
Okay, Johnny's gonna take the rest of the night off. I'm bringing in tonight.
Bye.
Couple guys, yeah. Say thanks to Johnny for joining in. He's got to go chase us. You're riding tomorrow. I'm not. My bike's, it's like laying on the side. We don't know if the filter's clean.
Happy to ride. I don't care.
Okay.
I don't mind the van too.
Oh, van riding, all good. So come on in, Preston. Nolan, sit down. We'll try to keep this show rolling here. We only have to go for like maybe 20 more minutes. Maybe.
Oh,
It could be a long one. But thanks, everybody, for joining in. We got a couple questions that we're going to jump to on our YouTube channel. So if you've asked questions on the YouTube channel, by the way, sitting next to me, that's a nice shirt.
Yep.
It's a Chirby's established way the hell before you were born. And you got George on your shirt.
Yeah, George right here.
What's he paying you? Speak into the microphone. Make sure you do
I
that.
just Jimmy just told us to put the stickers on for George, so.
Right. And then, Nolan, you have to really gobble that microphone, is what we like to say in the podcast world. So this is Nolan, Kate. We're going to scoot over. You're going to scoot over this way. Get a little close to, because otherwise, when we go to the guest camera, you're good there. Is that all the cameras are working? These are two young up-and-coming racers. Preston, you had to take a little time off because you got a little dinghy?
Yeah, I had a crash at DMC in January, so first day back on the bike was today. But yeah.
First day bike. That wasn't really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I haven't ridden in a month.
You did good.
Oh,
I mean, because like today we were doing rally training, and so I like to talk about, other things that they're talking about myself and stuff. So I'm going to show this thing up on the screen here. Here, I'm going to turn it around. Or I'm going to put it up. Let me put it in front of this camera here real quick. This is the emergency camera. So if you don't know what this is, by the way, so this is rally training. And I'm going to turn it around here and show Preston. Does any of this make any sense to you? We'll slide this out of the way. Lay it down and start looking at it. Yeah, the does any of that make any sense?
Maybe this makes sense. Maybe. Not really.
Yeah. So when I was working with a guy last week that went over to Abu Dhabi or the Dubai rally. And so when we were out there doing the stuff that you're doing today, so remember the basic class that we did, the very first one where we're just doing really simple stuff, and he started asking questions, does not speak English, Mongolian guy. Wow. So I had to start drawing stuff down, and so this is cap average, this is odometer variance, the zone, outside the zone when you should bump. This is I don't know. But you understand.
Some cap training on the
cap training and talking about a cap oblique and a cap average and how do you get there and all this stuff. So if you think rally training is easy, like just go to somebody else's rally school. I'm not kidding. Just go there and they'll hand you a road book and say, "Here, go ride this." And then it's like, "Oh, what do you need to learn?" And you're like, "I don't know." So anyways, Nolan, you ready for this?
No, I was on the preschool level today.
Yeah. So Nolan rode with a track log and kept me honest. How are my lines?
A little off at sometimes, but
Oh, okay. Now we have to discuss this. So we're in the sand wash and stuff like this. We're riding in the sand wash, and it's got like a lot of rocks and bouncing around. You're not happy with my line selection? Not when you get off the main track, and because there was times I would try to find a better line in a wash, and it would just go to haywire. But like when we were actually in the track and stuff, like where I entered the turn and how I exited, is it okay with that? Or
yeah, most of that was pretty good.
okay, just checking.
Sometimes in the rocks, a lot though.
Have you ever? Do you know any artists?
No.
You don't know any artists.
Your mom's an artist. Oh, my mom is an artist.
Okay, you know she's really particular about the art she creates.
Yeah.
Okay, when I ride my motorcycle, I feel like I'm on a pallet, and I'm drawing like lines and stuff, and they have to be just exactly perfect. So when I'm like doing these turns and carving, and like when I get the bike pointed straight and I accelerate and I want to really make a nice line, and then I hit a rock and it kicks sideways and up, that pisses me off. It's really bad. Did you notice this today?
Yeah, I did.
My delicate application of drawing on the ground. Okay, just checking. Yeah. You poor kids. So anyways, let's see. Oh, Mark Daniels. Yeah. Condolences to Kendall and the passing of his father, Norman Morris Norman. Super Yeah, I knew Morris. I used to race with Morris, and he was always out in the District 37 Enduros, just a legend. And I just remember I'd be hanging out with him and Peter, and we'd be parked in the kind of this area, and there's this little snot kid riding around in a Honda 50. Those things had big gas tanks. He'd ride that thing till it ran out of gas, and he'd just start crying. So George says, nice sticker. Give them some of my high valuable consumables from the fridge, please. That's water. So in the house you're staying in, there's 2 gallons of water, and George left me a gift, which was 2 gallons of water in the refrigerator and a roll of toilet paper in the refrigerator. So thank you, George.
Thank you, George.
Preston on every Sunday says, what future endeavor is more enticing, Dakar or Baja?
Right now, I'd say Dakar. I'm here with Jimmy doing learning some rally stuff this week, so probably going right now that's more enticing.
Are you gonna go pre-run the Nora books with me?
If I have the invite, then yeah, I'm down to go ride.
Well, you could race it too.
I know. I think I have another race that week though.
Oh, another race. What? Some stupid Hare and Hound?
No.
Oh.
I think I'm gonna do the Nevada 1000.
Talk of this thing. Oh no, you're not.
No.
You don't want to do the competitive event. Would your dad sign some competitive deal with those guys? And yeah, okay, that's okay. I promise you that silty, dusty mess in this state here is not going to be as cool as what I'm going to do down in Baja. But that's good, because then you can help me verify the road books. And as Kendall will tell you, it's not an easy day. San Felipe Bob says, hey, Preston Campbell.
Hey, San Felipe Bob.
Yeah, you know that guy?
Yeah, I know that guy.
I know that guy. Okay, we're going to go to our questions over here on the YouTube. So when you watch some of the videos Dirt Bike Test puts on our YouTube channel, which you may be watching now, or you're on our Facebook thing, you can always support us by going to www.dirtbiketest.com. We have a support us link. You click on it, you go to Amazon and or Rocky Mountain ATV MC, and you can buy your stuff. Buy really, really expensive stuff when you click through that link, and then we get a small chunk of it, and then I can afford to be able to hang out with you punks. Because this really doesn't pay that much.
Got some tacos.
I got free tacos tonight. Yeah, and two beers at Romero's.
There's a case of Montucky too.
Oh yeah, you did deliver a case of Montucky cold snacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're sitting on top. Let me put this clearly. They're on top of my refrigerator out in the garage. They're not in it. They're on top of it.
Well, Nolan, when he went to go look for your Miller High Life, he opened the fridge. I said, they're not in there. They're on the rack for sure. They're room temp.
You thought they'd be in the fridge?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wrong. Not here. So Slay Juice says, how about those Racer's Choice pistons? Up the compression without putting a head on it and run that sweet-smelling C12. And he's talking about our video about, I don't even know which video it is. So Trevor, you know that guy Trevor?
I know that guy.
Yeah, that guy.
I've heard of him.
He does some things. So he's gone down the, we'll call it the Dirt Bike TV J. Clark Hand Me a Free Bike train. You got a photo for this? Put this up on the tubes of you or the internets or something like that, so that we can get more views. Is a rebuilt YZ250 as good as a new one? So, yeah, if you rebuild it properly, it's as good as a new one, right? Yeah. Sometimes even better. You've ridden a lot of different bikes. Is it absolutely brand new better, or is a rebuilt bike better?
Well, depends what you do. If you
properly rebuilt.
Yeah,
bike.
properly rebuilt's really nice, because then the chassis broke in and the bike's not so stiff off the brand new. And yeah, I mean a properly rebuilt bike could be just as good or better.
I want to say better. But a lot of times you have your stuff on it. It's already it's your bike, and then you put it back and it gets fresh. It's not like a fresh new one that requires some work to make it nice. You're just making your bike
Yeah,
fresher.
yeah.
Nolan, comments?
It's pretty much the same thing. If chassis broke in, it'll work better.
Yep. Yeah, and so chassis do break in. So contrary to whatever everybody thinks. So Stephen Bryson says, he's talking about me. What, you want to read that question? Because you know what I make my co-host usually do on this show?
What do you do?
Well, you talk so I can drink. That was how I got Logan into this whole mess. Yeah. So anyway, so what did Stefan say?
You got that age look.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Guess what? I'm 56 years old. I think. Yeah. So I look like my age?
A little younger.
A little younger. Okay. I beat a bunch of guys that were 35 in the vet pro class, made money racing dirt bikes. What the F SH4 is says. That's we want to get Nolan to do this because he's kind of being quiet. He's acting like Logan right now. Here's the best part about this. People don't realize that we're sitting here doing this show, and you guys have to read this stuff. And it's not proper English. It's actually hard to read, but because you read what they type, you look like an idiot. So just run with that.
Okay. WTF SH4IS says, I got a 05 YZ250. Amazing to this day. Fires on first kick. Truly the Swiss Army knife of bikes.
That's because it's a Blue Crew. Next question.
Dialed in organics. Jay, I noticed you didn't have the yellow circle near the valve stem or rim lock. Does it not matter? Where is the preferred position on the rim for the yellow circle on the sidewall of the tire?
Jay's not here. Yeah, who's Jay, by the way? I forgot already.
I don't know where the yellow circle is supposed to go.
So yellow circle is a balance mark, and since Jay puts Dunlops on every single bike that he touches, I prefer Pirellis, as you can tell by the hat that I'm wearing right now. Oh, really? We're on the same team. You
Yeah.
you like the Pirellis? Yeah.
Scorpion
Like
XC mid-hards.
That's your tire.
That's my tire.
Front
and rear.
I'm still learning, so I like the MX Extra front tire.
Okay.
But they don't make an MX Extra 18 on the back. So, but I got to play around with this because it's been a while. Because I've been testing bikes forever and doing stuff. I've used all different brands, even when I had a different tire, we'll call it partner. And I've been a Pirelli or a Michelin guy when everybody else has been like kind of Dunlop. And I like Bridgestones. You know, when we talk about the grand scheme of things, but Dunlop, and nothing against the Dunlop tires. I think for certain people, they are the best tire. But for me, I just have there's a lean angle. I want to call it the Dunlop lean angle. I do not turn a motorcycle at that lean angle, so they don't work there. If I leaned it over more or less, they're awesome. But where I like to turn doesn't work. And then so when we go to like Pirellis, Michelin's, and a few other brands, like that's kind of my lean angle. I think it's more, we'll call it roll speed. It's just different. So anyways, a lot of tires have a mark that's a balance mark on the tire, and whether that's the heaviest spot or the lightest spot depends on the brand. And I think in a Dunlop, you usually put the balance mark, which is the yellow mark, at the rim lock. At the valve stem. So if Jay were here, but he's probably doing his Jay Talk Tuesday, not tacos motorcycle talk. It's a pod show like this. He can answer that. So send that question to him. And yes, we do realize this is a dirt bike. Don't you like how we do this here?
I do.
Got it. You can come down and co-host anytime, but you have to go riding with me all day. And if my bike breaks, Nolan, I have to hop off of my bike, hop on your bike, put you on my bike, and then I push you back. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay, good. What does Shotgun Brown 2821 want to know?
If you got a new YZ250, you think a heavier flywheel weight would calm the throttle down from being so sensitive after you've been riding 4-strokes, and jump on Tom Morgan racing engine on YZ250? It's just too damn jumpy, the throttle.
I don't know. I haven't ridden this bike. So Trevor Hunter, should we call Trevor and find out what he's thinking?
We could call Trevor right now.
Okay. Yeah, I know how to call
Should
Trevor.
Should I FaceTime him?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, call him up and ask him if he wants to come on the show, because there's a lot of questions here about this.
All right. Normal call or FaceTime?
Normal call will work, because I can plug him into the soundboard here on this.
Okay.
I could actually shut the whole show down by doing that, but we can just do that and just hold it really close to the microphone. Just make sure you let him know he's on Tech Talk Taco Tuesday live, because he usually knows and then he won't answer the phone. But if it's coming from you, he probably doesn't know. So,
Hey, Trevor.
What's up?
Hey, you're on a Tech Taco Tuesday with me and Jimmy and Nolan right now.
that's Preston Campbell and Nolan Kate. And you have a lot of questions on is a rebuilt YZ250 as good as a new one?
I don't know. Is it?
Well, you're the guy that wrote the story. Or evidently Jay put some information in there. We have questions for Jay too, but he's probably busy doing his Tech Tuesday Taco Jay Clark. I put a Dunlop on it. The bike's all good. Show. But they really want to know, is the balance mark that critical?
Is the what?
The balance mark on the tire.
The yellow circle.
The yellow circle on the tire.
I think that, as you would say, they'll spin the tire so quick, they'll chuck a knob, and there won't even matter anymore.
See,
Right? That's
this
what you
guy.
always tell me.
That's right. Yeah, everybody's all worried about the balance of their tire and stuff like that. Hey, was I spinning my tire today, Nolan?
Oh, yeah.
I was letting her eat.
He was letting it eat.
Letting it eat with a reed valve in the
Yeah.
KTM intake track. No ECU, by the way. So
We have a flywheel question for you.
Okay.
Shotgun Brown 2821 wants to know if a heavier flywheel will calm the throttle down on the YZ250 because it's too damn jumpy.
I've never tried one on a YZ250, but I think Scott Hoffman ran one.
well, he says if you just get a Tom Morgan racing engine, it's just too jumpy.
It's too jumpy.
What did you ride this bike, this YZ250 rebuilt one?
Yeah.
Okay, was it a Tom Morgan engine?
No, it's all stock.
Well, then what do we?
It had like Wiseco, standard piston.
Hold on, where's the question about the piston? What about those Racer's Choice pistons? Can I up the compression without putting a head on it and run that sweet-smelling C12?
It was a standard compression piston. So
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Well, you better get onto the YouTubes and answer these questions, because Dr. Hug Hackenbush 9443 says, if it's done right, yep, just as good as new, sometimes better.
I did say in the video that sometimes stock is best, and I don't know if Jay liked that or not.
Well, okay. So if you took a YZ250 with however many hours this thing had on it, and you rebuilt it with all stock Yamaha parts. By the way, Yamaha is a sponsor of this show. They have a parts department at every Yamaha dealer where you can buy every stock part you need for that YZ250. Probably going back 20 years.
Yep.
Okay. So if you had a brand new YZ250 or you properly rebuilt a YZ250, which one would you rather have?
I did say in the video that I would rather have a new one. The new ones with the updated bodywork and whatnot is a better.
Okay, so 2000. When did they do the bodywork? 2022. 22. Okay, so if you had a 22, you rode the crap out of it, kind of like you ride motorcycles, and then you took it, and you had access to get new piston rings, gaskets, like had the suspension rebuilt. You did it right. You took your time. You weren't doing it like a magazine editor or a dirt bike test, like I get everything for free guy. You did it properly. Your dad wasn't barking at you to try to get it out of the garage so he could work on his bike. None of that stuff. So you did it right. Which would you rather have, brand new or the one that you rebuilt properly?
I don't know.
That delay is not speaking well to your mechanical skills, Trevor. Okay, if you had Preston rebuilt that for you, and you're paying him what's your day at 40 an hour?
Yeah, for Trevor, 40 an hour.
40 an hour. So if Preston rebuilt it for you at 40 an hour with the right parts and stuff, would you want a new one or the rebuilt one?
If he works on it, will I ride it faster? Is that how that works?
Oh, wow. We're actually trying to get to the root cause of this problem. Is a broken chassis better than a brand new one?
I would say a chassis with time on it isn't a bad thing a lot of times.
Okay, good. We finally agree on something.
Unless there's too much time on it.
Oh, too much time.
Too much time.
On an aluminum frame.
Yeah.
I think the Beta 250 that I raced last year, that had too much time on it when I was done with it. So I would not take that one.
Okay, so that's a steel frame, by the way.
Yeah.
So steel frame, I'll agree with you on steel frames can get too much time on them, but I have a 2005 YZ125 that just gets better every time I ride it.
Yeah, I can't argue that.
Yeah. Okay, so Bodie 2020, what does he say?
Who ones up with these videos? The answer is yes. Unless you do a shit job with shit parts, if you're not trying to get contingency money, it does not matter. And Crazy Rhino says, almost had a seizure trying to read this.
Well, you did pretty good, actually. You blasted right through that read. Trevor, did you sign me up for the Blue Crew contingency rewards yet? Because I got third place at a Hare and Hound.
That's a big deal.
Really?
I mean, you got in the podium.
I missed the podium because I didn't even know there was a podium thing. Because back in my days, I was hanging out with Preston and Johnny, just back at the Honda JCR pits, talking about how efficient my pit was. Was I drinking? Oh yeah, I did have a beer. I had that beer afterwards. Yeah. So I was having a beer and I missed the podium. I didn't know they did it right after the race.
Hey, you got to get right down there.
It's been a while, 20 years. Yeah.
Does Trevor have access to your IG?
My Instagram, the dirt bike test one? Yeah. Trevor, Johnny's going to send you something on Instagram. Make sure you post it up.
Yeah, collab.
Collab. They're collabing.
Okay.
What does Aaron Milcellini 1436 say?
They really need a counterbalancer and E-start, and they'd be golden. What do you think of that, Trevor?
I would love an E-start.
And a
because I
6-speed
can't touch the
gearbox.
ground. And a 6-speed, yes.
Dude, you're just going so far away from the whole Blue Crew thing we have going on here. Let's keep it simple with carburetors and no electronics. Just kickstart that thing and go.
Jimmy, do you want to know how committed I am to Blue Crew?
Yes. Testify.
I'm trying to get a YZ85 big wheel to race at NGPC on. That's how committed I am to Blue Crew.
Oh, this weekend?
No, not this weekend, but at one of the races, I want to race 25 plus on a YZ85.
That'd be awesome.
Because I love Blue Crew that much.
TM makes a full-sized 80. It's a 125 with an 80 motor in it.
Yeah, I still can't touch the ground.
That's
I
okay.
still
Ask
don't
Ryan
think
Dudak how I smoked him on that thing. Yeah. Let's see here. There's people that still like that video you did about like winning the Big Bear dual sport ride.
Yep.
Yeah, you won it.
He was
Oh.
my rider. He was my top rider.
He had JCR pits at that.
Yeah, you had to get an air filter swap. What else?
The shifter, we bent the shifter.
Oh, shifter. We had to straighten the shifter out. I don't know if we had a spare. We probably had a crescent wrench.
That was the most exciting thing that happened all day.
Was
Yeah,
bending the shifter back on Trevor's bike?
I had zero action. I was there sitting with Nar all day until Trevor came in. He was having big problems.
So
And we got
Paul
him back out there, and he won.
Yeah, Paul Condi, 2025 says, I love it. And he's talking about your video. Totally awesome. Used street and trail bikes, gently used, for sale. Yeah. So those went back into the, you turn the bikes back into the manufacturer. Yeah? Oh, we lost them.
Yeah.
And they probably gave them to a dealer, and then somebody else is enjoying that motorcycle as much as you did.
Someone is enjoying that Big Bear 300 because they emailed us about it.
Oh, they want you coming back?
Whoever bought that 300 was all stoked on it.
Oh, the bike that you smashed through that, the 9th overall bike?
The one that got a frame replacement.
I have no idea why.
If you rode like me, ask Nolan about how I ride through sand washes without hitting rocks. If you rode like me, you wouldn't have had to have that happen.
The shifter I bent because I like tipped over, and I don't even know how I bent it. I bent it that way, and then.
Well, wait a minute. Let's go back to your legs are too short, and
Yeah.
and now you're riding a motorcycle that has a low seat height, and you still tipped over.
It wasn't the short seat one, so I still couldn't touch very well.
Yeah. Okay. Evidently on this, I haven't watched the video yet. Don't trust Zionism has a comment for us.
Says easy on the cold revs. You're gonna seize up the new top end.
Jay loves the cold revs.
The crispy cold revs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, don't worry, Southern Utah MX, which Jay's like, they're part of that. Evidently, there's a cult up there in Utah. I don't know what they're called anymore. I forgot. But it says, not as easy as you think it would be. Jay knows what he's doing.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
And Shotgun Brown drops back in and he says,
Nah, won't hurt it because Wiseco pistons have black coatings on piston controls expansion. Fire it up and take off the piston without coating need warmed up. Good Wiseco is doing what Vertex started. Also, stock piston doesn't have much expansion.
You sound like you're reading something that's very difficult to read.
Yeah, Shotgun Brown has very bad English.
Yeah, it's normal. People thought Logan was kind of a little bit off. Like, because he didn't talk, and then he read this stuff. But then we would get, it's funny because it hasn't happened lately. We would get comments in like weird dialects and languages and stuff, and Logan would read them. I'm like, dude, you can barely even talk, let alone read. And he would actually have done the translation. He would take a picture of it and use some sort of translator.
Yeah, Google Translator.
Yeah. He would tell me what it said. And mostly they're like, you're a bald old dude. What do I care?
Jimmy No Hair.
Yeah, Jimmy No Hair. Yeah, that's what you used to call me,
Yeah.
Preston. Thank you. I wish I would have actually had more than 10 minutes to prep for this show because I have pictures of you, like, laying on the ground on a CRF 150 and doing push-ups next to your CRF 150 because you couldn't start it, and having your dad pull you out of the mud hole because you got stuck. And remember we rode over the top of that car? In that sand wash?
You rode over the top of the car. I'm pretty sure I just
Well, how come
watched.
you didn't ride over the top of the car? Anybody can do it. Old guy can do it. Jimmy Bald Hair, whatever it is. So, okay. So now we're going to get to the next thing.
Which one is that?
It's number 1. It's
Oil?
it's the only one. Yeah, the rock oil, water washable air filter oil.
I think I watched that like a year ago. I'm pretty special. Watched it recently.
I just made it like last week. It's kind of like your Yamaha video I didn't watch. You didn't watch my video? We spend all this time putting stuff up on the internets and nobody watches it. There's how many viewers do we have on this thing? Hold on, let me see.
See it.
I'll go here. 49 million people are watching this show right now.
San Felipe Bob remembers my push-ups.
Yeah, because he was on that ride.
Yeah.
Trevor, the burning question in Utah right now is, how tall are you?
On a good day, like 5'7".
Well, so what you should say is 5'6 3/4, so you don't overestimate. I've learned this from a couple of my other short friends.
I'm not tall enough. How about that?
Yeah. No, like Ricky Carmichael wasn't that tall either. He did okay.
Yeah, you've got more talent than I do. He's got more skills.
I think his parents just tortured him. Can I talk to your dad right now?
He tortured me, but not in that way.
Okay, so T Flannel says G-tube throttle tamer to smooth out that super radical rowdy YZ250.
I like it super radical and rowdy.
Oh, you do like that kind of throttle response?
Yeah.
So, have you used throttle tamers or throttle tubes?
I haven't. I have lately. I have no experience, but I have been seeing a lot of people going to these throttle tamers.
So, I've tried them over the years, lots of different versions and different things. Motion Pro has a whole throttle, it has different throttle cams, and there's a lot of talk about throttle thing. And this is probably one of the biggest revelations I ever had. And this is where we actually, quit joking around and talk serious stuff. You know what I'm talking about, Nolan?
Yeah.
How are my lines in the sand wash today? Let's get serious.
They're okay.
Like I literally, like when I made that turn, I pointed it where I went. I let her eat.
You let it eat in some spots.
Okay.
On like the end of the wash.
You just were sick of riding in my dust all day.
I was.
Yeah. Okay. So back to the throttle tubes and why this is a big deal. So I thought that maybe taming my throttle or putting different, more mellow throttle cams would help. And when in practice, it made it worse for me, because if a bike was like too gnarly and I put a throttle tamer on it, it seemed like it just changed where it got gnarly and then I couldn't control it. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
So the point in wherever the throttle was sensitive, it changed the point, and then because I couldn't change it quick enough because the throttle cam mellowed it out, I couldn't fix it. It didn't change what the motor was doing. And so I actually found that the more aggressive throttle cam, the one that was called the gnarly one, the quarter turn or whatever it was actually better for me to kind of fix the problem. So it's like, but I didn't learn that until I just took the time to take 4 different throttle cams, put them in a bike that was too gnarly and try them. And I thought the mellow one would help me out the best. And then the most aggressive one was the best fix for it. So to kind of show you how, a perception like a certain throttle cam, you have to know what you're trying to accomplish. Like, should you try to fix it in the power, the tuning of the power or whatever it is, or can something like a throttle cam fix it? And just go into a mellow throttle cam made it worse because it happened at a different position. And then when I changed what my wrist was doing, even when I took the time to learn what it was, where it was, that it still did the motor did what it did. It was just took more turn of the throttle to fix it. So I guess I have a quick wrist. Make sense?
Yeah, makes sense to me. I've
And everybody, are you asleep yet? Preston, you awake?
Yeah,
Hello?
I'm a
Montana boys' eyes are looking pretty.
I'm gonna get them some Montucky cold snacks, and see if we can wake these guys back up. So okay, well, enough of that. Everybody says lower the center of gravity. Trevor is like his dad, all torso, no legs.
I hope not.
Well, he didn't go into the brains part because that really hurt your dad. Sorry, Craig. How many free entries can I get at the whatever the race is this weekend? Hey, Trevor, how come you haven't thrown out a Prairie Dogs hit right here?
A what?
For the Prairie Dogs, the NGPC thing, whatever it is.
Yeah, you got to invite
Plug.
people to the race this weekend.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, best race of the year.
Best.
Best race of the year by far, definitely.
Best GP of the year.
A dirt bike test. Can dirt bike test maybe get a free entry for a guy who's going to write a big article about the whole thing?
Are you gonna compare it to another race and say how good it is?
Nolan, what do you think? You can talk about how the Prairie Dogs put on the best Grand Prix of the year and just compare it to the Hilltoppers. With that one, obviously sucks. Are you a Hilltopper?
No.
No.
They pulled out of the series.
They pulled out of the series? They probably got thrown out.
Nolan's never been to 29
I've never
Palms.
been.
He doesn't know what that
Never
feels
been.
like, looks like.
Oh,
Yeah.
You missed out.
Yeah. So, okay, we're talking about this District 37 thing. Now we're localizing the whole stuff. It's like, you might as well talk about how to dress like a cholo or something like that. Richard Ross says, for lowering gearing, it is better to practice to install a larger sprocket on the rear to keep the chain off the chain guide, as a smaller front would increase the rubbing. And he asked us to say thanks, and we say thank you for that. Do you know much about this, Johnny? Like the chain wheel size things? Yeah.
Yeah, it affects how your suspension.
Yeah, chain wheel, different size chain wheels. Yeah, so like on Supercross, they I don't know about now, but they used to run really big rear sprockets to keep the chain torque from affecting the way the suspension worked. And I don't know where this comment came from. Have we even talked about? Let's say Hilltoppers versus Dirt Diggers. That was fun. So I'll tell you a little story. I don't like to talk about myself much, except for on this podcast. So, have you been to a club versus club field meet?
No.
No, you haven't. Okay, you've got to do this. So there's District 37. There's AMA districts all over, and there's clubs, motorcycle clubs. And this started way back when they would have what they call field meets. So a motorcycle club would challenge another motorcycle club to a field meet. So it was a big kind of gathering, and they would have these different things that they would do on their motorcycles. And so whether it was a blindfolded kind of thing, or there was the one where you had to ride your motorcycle to line and then push it back to the first line. So you ride it and you hop off and you push it from the handlebars back, or they hang a hot dog on a string and you have to ride up and eat the hot dog. So it's a field meet. These like these different sort of challenges. And I was aware of these going on, but I'd never been part of one. I kind of may have seen them when I was at a district race. And you see a couple clubs get together and they're having a party kind of a thing, and they're doing some weird stuff. And, they might set up a little thing. In fact, the Ruts was out at Lucerne Valley not too long ago when we were out there, and they were doing just an inter-club field meet. So there are these little competitions, like kind of friendly competitions between the clubs. And my good friend, Crazy Nate Shakwa, says, hey, Jimmy, they wanted a ringer for the field meet. And so they called me up and they said, hey, you want to come out and ride for the Dirt Diggers at the field meet? I'm like, what's a field meet? And they explained it to me. Like, we're going against the Hilltoppers. And I'm like, yeah. And we were planning on going ride that weekend, but we just would end up at this field meet. We'd go over there. So I brought San Felipe Bob and a few of my friends, and we went out there. But they showed up and they're like, oh, these guys look like ringers. So I gave away some of my good friends to the Hilltoppers. I think I put Bob will probably answer to this. I think I put Bob on the Hilltoppers, which is bad because, like, Bob's a good rider, but not quite the level of racer that I was. He was a kind of have fun racer, high quality, good racer. At field meets, the guy is dangerous because he has that ability to do things that maybe you're not necessarily doing for regular thing, but it was super fun. And I shouldn't have given Bob away. And one of his other
Hilltopper.
He was a Hilltopper, yeah. So they almost beat us, but thank God I was teamed with the with the Dirt Diggers, and I had Crazy Nate Shakwa as my buddy there. I have a picture someplace of the hardware we took home, like, and thank God Marlene, and Nate's wife, when we had to do the hot dog eating thing, like, we doubled up, and she was on the back of the bike. She got the hot dog every time. So yeah, so yeah, good times. Does Prairie Dogs do any field meets there, Trevor? 52,000 people. Yeah.
A Christmas party maybe could be a field meet. Lots of alcohol involved.
No, you can have that, but that's an alcohol event with a motorcycle club participating. You got to set it up where we go out to some place and you have a place where you can have a field meet. We'll get the dirt bike test team to take on the Prairie Dogs.
I was a Prairie Dog for a day.
Oh,
Craig made me wear a Prairie Dogs jersey at the Enduro Cross when they had a District 37 class.
Yeah, I remember that. I have a photo of it somewhere.
Yeah. So good times. Hey, if you're ever around some sort of thing where you can kind of do a field meet, those are good times. I mean, it's motorcycles, it's good people, and super super fun. So let's see. Let's go back to our. We're
losing viewers.
Yeah, Trevor, you canceled all of our viewers and stuff like that.
It's all your fault.
Let's see. Okay, so here's the thing. So I got a text from Chris Parker at Rottweiler because I did that nice promotion. So if you want to learn how to clean an air filter, the easiest way possible, go to our YouTube videos, check out the Today in the Shop air filter cleaning magic. Did you see this one yet, Trevor?
Apparently I haven't.
Well, I mean, I thought I was trying to be educational. So anyways, Rottweiler is going to give you a discount. There's a discount code at the end. It's for the Rock Oil water washable air filter oil. In fact, we have no affiliation with Rock Oil, but this is something I've been using for a long time. Have you ever seen me clean a filter with this stuff?
I have not.
No, well, you should watch the video. That's why I put it up there.
I'll have to go on Dirt Bike Test tonight.
Yeah, go to Dirt Bike Test and watch the video. Anyways, so I got a message. He said, nobody used the discount code yet. Out of our 42 million listeners right now, like, go use it. It's 10%, but it's a $14 can, so you're going to get $1.40 off. I mean, come on. It's showing support for this channel. So anyways, this guy, TJ 20003, says T7J. What does he say?
Sold. I'll order some now. P.S. As I learned the hard way, always ask yourself, WWJD, what would Jimmy do? Don't think you know better. Just do it. That's some good advice.
Did you hear that, Trevor?
Yeah, I do. So, is this rock oil stuff, is it better than using gas to clean filters?
Well, let's see. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, gas is a very effective way to clean filters. I don't know how good that is for all the other things. Whether you care about the environment, your skin, where you're going to pour this stuff, all these other
the longevity of the filter.
Yeah, the filter. Yeah, there's a lot of things like this, and so this I've been using this stuff. We did a filter oil test back at Dirt Rider magazine back in the days, and this stuff clearly won. Without a doubt, it was the best stuff, just ranked by anybody that had anything to do with cleaning the filters. So if you're just putting stuff in your filter to keep dirt from going through it, a lot of them are really good. But once you have to clean that's a whole different ball game. And most of us have to clean our filters. There's filters that you can buy that you can use once and throw away. They're cheap. I don't know if they're the best filters overall, because I think that if you really punish them in dust, high, they kind of get to the point of plugging, they'll suck stuff through. But if you use a good filter with this oil, you're going to be in good shape. And then it cleans out like nothing. Watch the video, I dare you. And then go to Rottweiler. There's a link in the video and stuff like that. Let's see. What does Flynn say?
You recommended this to me last year on Talk.
It's 4 T's. Actually, you want to make it 5 T's? I'll pour another one of these. Go ahead. It's Tech Talk. It's
Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, it's the show you're on right now.
And I've been using it since. Probably the most convenient air filter oil on the market. It spreads easily and does a great job catching dust. The closest competitor would be No Toil. Theirs doesn't spread as nicely, but performance seems.
We gotta open the tab.
There's more.
You gotta click read more.
Read more.
So
So you can finish.
Oh man.
Oh, he actually this. So Flynn is actually, this is a really good. So this is when you tell somebody he's super engaged, because he's actually telling you how much it is. So $38 for 1.89 liters, which puts it at $20.46 per liter. He says you also need their cleaning agent. And this is the thing about most other filter oils is you need, whether even if they're special or whatever, you need a cleaning agent. And so he tells you about that you can buy this $12 for 5 pounds, because it's
the detergent.
So rock oil is $25 per liter, but you don't need to pay for a separate cleaner. It's harder to come by, unfortunately. This is true. Santa Clara Cycles, as well as Rottweiler, does sell this, is where I bought mine. I wish Rottweiler sold the liquid 1 liter bottles too. And I mentioned this in the video. I like the pour in 1 liter as opposed to the aerosol. And if you people, all you 42 million people that are listening to this thing, would just go to Rottweiler and order a can of the aerosol and put in your comments, I wish you had the pour in. That I guarantee you they get the pour in. And then the amount of money we would receive. Trevor, where are we going on our cruise to?
Costa Rica.
Oh, do you guys still have some affiliation with that tour company? Is that what you're trying to hint at there?
No, but I'm still waiting on that trip.
the trip. No, you no. We're gonna go on a cruise out here in Pahrump, Nevada, on the dry lake bed. We're gonna
the chicken ranch.
Sherry's Ranch. Yeah, same one.
Sherry's Ranch.
Same thing. So,
Yeah.
okay. Anyways,
Jimmy.
yes.
Does that also go to the Tacoma Hot Springs by chance?
Tacoma
Hot Springs, yeah.
Johnny was in there today. He was sitting in Hepatitis Hot Springs.
I got a date shake.
He got a date shake.
Vegan.
Vegan one.
Wow, that sounds healthy.
Do you want to go? You want to go out? We can go on a tour out there.
I've been told I should go with you sometime.
Who told you that?
Someone in that room.
Oh wait, were you were on the one where we came back?
Yeah.
On our yeah.
We started.
Why don't you tell this story?
Well, we were in the Magic motorhome bus on the way
big
back.
Bus on the way back.
On the way back from Razor, and we stopped in the Tacoma Hot Springs.
We went to the natural one.
The natural one.
one.
The natural one. It was nice.
Yeah.
And Jimmy went full
natural.
Yeah, full natural.
Right.
Jumped right in. Trevor said he doesn't want to ever see that in his life. I said
You shouldn't.
I said that wasn't so nice, but the Tacoma Hot Springs was nice.
Pretty nice. Yeah. You got to watch out for that one, because every once in a while the duck shit goes to a level that all of a sudden it gives you the call it swimmer's itch.
Okay.
Got to be careful. Yeah.
Like we got up at in the mountains when we
did
went
the jet skiing.
Yeah.
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had
I have an affection for swimmer's itch.
Yeah.
By the way.
Our jet ski adventure.
Yeah. Okay, so we have another question here. Hey, if you have a question right now that's burning your pants off, call 775-990-8557. And this phone that I have on the desk will ring. We'll hang up on Trevor. I'll plug you into this damn show, and you can answer it if you can remember that. I'll tell one more time because I know you're trying to write it down. Or, does anybody write anything down anymore?
I write down my groceries.
Right. Okay. 775-990-8550 is the Tech Talk Taco Tuesday hotline. We used to call it the Seat Concepts Hot Seat Hotline, but we lost that sponsorship, and I'm going to bring it back because Trevor didn't do his job. Trevor was supposed to nourish that hotline, but Jeff Groffo has a really important question.
Hey Jimmy, I just picked up a 2004 CRF 250X for my 16-year-old son. Bike is pretty decent shape. Only issue I'm noticing is that it will not shift into fourth gear. Wonder where I should start with attempting to fix it. Change gear oil, change clutch, open up the transmission, see what I find. Hoping you can guide me in the right direction.
So you guys have experience with that bike, CRF 250X. I have two of them. What do you think when you hear that? Like, bike won't shift into fourth, and so I have a follow-up email from this guy because I gave him my information back. But what would you say?
Maybe the shift forks.
Bent shift forks. So he that open up the transmission, see what I find. I basically replied back and I said, it's not looking good. You're down to the, changing the gear oil and changing the clutch is not going to fix this problem. But here's where you don't get the full story on this. So I said bent shift forks, or maybe there's something else that went wrong that's causing the shift drum to be binding up. There's a piece of junk in there, but it's all bad. Once you're talking about transmission problems not shifting, it's bad. So I kind of just said, let me know what you find out, whatever, because I suggested the easiest thing to do would be to change the gear oil, like take the gear oil out of it, pour it in a thing, examine it, see if there's any metal flakes. And if you have the opportunity to have a metal or a magnetic drain plug, get a magnetic drain plug, put it back in there, put new fluid in there, and try it again. And then with the bike on a stand or someplace where you're not riding it, run it through the transmission and see if without a load you can run it through the transmission and get it to do its thing. See if it will shift into the next gear. And then if it does or doesn't, whatever, drain the oil out again and look at that magnetic drain plug, or look at the oil again and see if pieces come out. Because it's kind of one of those things where there could be a problem. And I'm trying to do the simplest, the least expensive, the most logical steps at this point. Do this. So I told him to do that, and then let me know what you see, because right away we all went bent shift fork, because that happens on motorcycles when they're misshifted. Doesn't matter the bike. This doesn't have anything to do with being a whatever it is. This is what I would do no matter the bike. The good thing about the Honda in this case is it's a separate transmission.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Honda at that point had a separate transmission and motor oil. So it's like a two-stroke where your transmission gear oil is there. Because the reason for that design was so that if there was a transmission problem, it didn't go up, and you could use the better fluid in the transmission. And if there was a problem in the transmission, it didn't go into the rest of the motor like a normal, typical motorcycle motor would. So anyways, so I said, hey, it's transmission, run this through this, do this thing. And he got back to me and said, and I wish I had the exact email right now in front of me because I could quote it better, but he said that he found that it was the clutch, his clutch adjustment. And what was happening is the bike was slipping so bad. And this is where, like, I need to do a whole deep dive on this particular thing. His clutch was slipping so bad that it pulled in first, second, and third gear, but when he clicked a fourth, it would slip so bad that it would heat up or it wouldn't shift any longer. So, yeah, you not only do you need to change the gear oil and the clutch, your clutch adjustment is so far out that it's allowing this to happen. And as the bike heats up, it gets worse and all this other thing. So it was a clutch. There wasn't enough pressure on the clutch, and generally on a Honda, since it's a cable clutch, that it heated up and then it tightened up and it was slipping. So this is where we didn't get enough context in the original thing. And so hopefully Jeff's listening to this show and he now knows that he should stop riding that motorcycle. He said, hey, I don't remember what he said, but it was like, yeah, it was the clutch. And I'm like, well, no, that's bad. So
I have one comment on that. It's kind of easy.
Johnny Campbell with a comment on this.
Is even though it's happening in one gear, so this may not apply, but always check to make sure your shifter is tight.
Yeah, okay, so Johnny's telling us right now, because he's in the peanut gallery right now, to make sure your shifter, the shifter is tight on the shaft. Because I've seen those get loose and wiggle.
And even if it's worn out.
Yep. Yeah, tighten that thing up. Because I've actually seen people like shift and knock it a whole notch up, like on the index or on the shift shaft, and then it's
just not allowing it to shift all the way in, so the dogs don't engage.
That's a good tip as well. I mean, I've seen some people have their shifter placed so high, they're like, I can't get this bike to upshift. And their shifter's so high, they're actually not touching with
pull
their
their
foot.
foot off the foot peg to shift up.
Like a trials bike.
Yeah.
It's way out. It's way out in left field, like by design, so you don't bump it.
Yeah.
But
Sorry.
no, that was good. This is the kind of thing we do in the show, is try to solve people's problems, let you know what it is. But that's the this question was for me, but I'm gonna ask you guys. So replace my name with your name, Nolan. Nolan, what is your definition of off-road?
I don't know.
Let's like somebody says, "Hey, Nolan, what do you do?" And then you're gonna experience this in your life. You're gonna be out with got a girlfriend? No girlfriend?
No girlfriend.
Oh, he's available. So Trevor knows this. He's always available. So you're out at a let's say your parents drag you to some party or something like that, and so you ride Harleys because they know you ride motorcycles, but they say you ride Harleys, right?
No. Oh.
No. So this is I'm just prepping you. I'm helping. This is how I help the younger generation. They don't know that you're not out doing either backflips off of ramps, doing all the crazy jumps in the Supercross, that you just actually ride and race your dirt bikes, out in the environment.
Yeah.
They think it's something crazy, but when the guy 5 doors down hops on his Harley, fires the thing up, does a bunch of what they call it cold revs. Is that what Jay Clark does? Some cold revs, and then every time he shifts, he just revs it out to hell. That's you. So you ride off road. So here's my question: what is off road?
Off-road's like trails. Anything that's not, or like dirt 2-track. I don't know. It's hard to explain. A lot of variables in off-road.
Okay, so you're at a party. All your parents' friends are kind of a little bit tipsy right now, and they asked you this question, and you've got to represent us as dirt bike riders in a positive light. Like, what is off-road? Hey, Trevor, you better be prepping your answer right now. It's coming down to you. Okay. So, Preston?
Off-road to me is like anything out in the environment or nature, like riding in the desert, the mountains, hare scrambles, desert racing, anything like that
Anything
you're
off road.
you're going cross country, like cross country or enduro style of riding is off road.
Yeah, because you and this the reason I pose this question to you guys is that a lot of times, people that ask this question like, oh, so you ride off road, they don't know what that means, and so my question is, off road is anytime you're in a limited traction situation, but they don't even know what that means. Like how do you explain it? It's like, well, I take my motorcycle and I go ride here or there.
Yeah,
Sometimes it takes some explanation because you're dealing with someone like, do you appreciate classical music? What type of classical music do you like? Like you guys are just like don't even know anything about it. So you're in this zone. So Trevor, what is off road?
I'd say anything more natural terrain. I think.
Okay.
Kind of. Yeah.
Hey, I don't know. Is there a right or wrong answer for this? I don't even know. It's
it's anything that's not on a road.
Yeah, anything. So that's why I go to like anytime you're off road, so your traction gets limited. You're in the dirt. You're out in the dirt. You're riding in places that are not regulated by traffic laws. It's we can't go anywhere, but we're able to ride in really cool places. There's just like there's streets around the community, and you can't drive your car on people's lawns. It's like I take my motorcycle and I get to go ride it in places that are
You can't access by other
you can't. You have to have the right kind of vehicle to go do this, and we're respectful of the environment, the different things. We go ride off road. It's a limited traction situation. It's sand, it's mud, it's dirt, it's rocks, it's whatever it is, and that. So, and Mark Daniels says,
Off-road is anything that is not a groom track where you don't have control of the conditions.
okay, I would even go beyond that. It's like off-road is anytime you're off pavement. Off of a really consistent traction situation, off pavement. So you're basically out in the dirt. So why does Tim Skelly say Liqui Moly? Because Tim knows his stuff. Tim, I'd go pull the hat that I have sitting over off the side there. They do a shop in Orange County, Inside Line Moto. I'd like to give a shout out to Inside Line Moto. He usually complains because I don't get this podcast posted up soon enough on Wednesday. So Tim, if you have a filmer kid that can get that posted up on Wednesday morning real early, I would appreciate that. And Mark says it's a good show. You know what? When the people start telling it's a good show, that means we're getting close to being done. You know what I mean?
Stop while you're on top.
42 million viewers.
42, yeah. Stop before there's zero.
Hey, Trevor, throw out a little plug for that stupid race you guys are putting on this weekend.
Yeah, Prairie Dogs GP, a practice Friday, racing Saturday, Sunday, best GP of the year.
Wait, practice Friday, is it like super controlled practice?
There's 45-minute unclassifieds. You have the fastest guys, the slowest guys. You have everyone all on the track at once.
So I can ride all of those.
Yes.
Okay.
The kids practice.
Can I sweep? I can sweep during that, so I can get better lines during the race.
We could make it work.
Okay, and Nolan is going to represent Dirt Bike Test. Do you think you can hook him up with a free entry?
We can discuss it.
Okay, so Nolan, you work this out. You're indebted to me for doing this. If I show up on Friday, can I rip some laps on a brand new Dirt Bike Test bike, particularly the YZF 450 FX?
If you can get Ulrich to get it in for us, we can make that happen.
Boy. Yeah, because
I have a Honda 300L that's ready to put some laps in now.
Preston, what are you doing?
I'm prepping. I'm cleaning up from this.
You're not going to be out there?
I gotta dump gas for this guy on Sunday.
Okay. Oh, you do?
Yeah.
So you should take that 300L. Trevor is not doing anything that weekend, so he can shoot photos of you. You put on you have to work a deal with them so you don't have to wear that sweeper vest, and then you can get some really rad photos in your fly gear.
Yeah.
Fly gear.
Yeah.
What kind of boots?
Alpine Star boots.
Right, Alpine Star
Yeah,
boots.
yeah.
What kind of tires?
Pirellis.
Pirelli tires. Okay, you're gonna rep that stuff as you rip around the track, getting photos for a dirt bike test on Trevor's bike. That evidently, I heard this from a credible source. He smoked Blake Baggett on a dual sport bike at Glen Helen. Blake had a 500 and Trevor had a 300, and Trevor fed him. True, right, Trevor?
Maybe. But if Preston's lucky, I'll put that Temu exhaust on for him.
The
Oh,
team.
yeah.
I'll get
Perfect.
the thing race ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, anything else you guys have to talk about other than the lines I was taking in the sand washes today? No, really don't want to talk about this. Do we want to talk about the rally training? You know, that whole chart of stuff.
The Jimbo
program.
You show up, you drive out to Jimbo's. You don't even bring a bike, so you got to drive, make a 2-hour detour
Hey,
to go get your bike.
Rally bikes show up at my friends' houses. Like, it's amazing. You never know where, like, Ricky Baybeck is going to leave you a rally bike.
They're like
It's
Easter
a
eggs.
mystery. Yeah,
Easter eggs.
So, how's Ricky doing? Did we check?
Yeah, Ricky finished third overall today.
Third today,
on the first half of the marathon,
right?
and he's currently fourth overall, about 2.5 minutes out of the lead.
So yeah, the Abu Dhabi or just Dubai?
Abu
Abu
Dhabi
Dhabi Desert Challenge, yeah. So there's actually a rally going on right now. We're kind of keeping a little bit of an eye on it and checking things out. So this is what we do on Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. Hey, I'd like to thank everybody. You got my the money that George sends you for wearing that sticker. Half of it is mine. Okay, just want you to know this.
Royalties.
So, hey, check out Today in the Shop. Check out our videos on YouTube's. Like, subscribe, flush us down the toilet, just like everything on social media. And with that, we're going to shut this thing down. And it's a good time to call it a night. Thank you, Mark Daniels. You're exactly right, and we appreciate everybody for tuning in. We're going to give you a thing.